All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today is Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. You are now watching Permission to Exist. I am your host, Permission to Exist, also known as PTE. And tonight we are going to do another unfortunate installment of the Sick and Dangerous Men series. And the theme for tonight's show is extremists because we need to talk about what that means and how it's showing up in our society. We are going to cover those major news stories that broke in like the last week or two. If you haven't heard about it, you've probably not been on your phone or on a computer or anything because it's shocking, absolutely shocking what's happening in our world right now, what's happening to women and children at the hands of men in our world right now. It's shocking and it can't be ignored. And I think it's been ignored for a while now. And I think these past 2 weeks have really opened the eyes of people who've been trying to ignore this issue. If you've been with my channel for a while, it's been almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years in June. We've been talking about this since basically day one. So if you go back to my videos from 2016, you will see that we have been discussing this since then because it all falls under the narcissism umbrella in some shape or form. But specifically, we've been talking about violence against women, what's driving it, the mindset that's driving it since 2016. So I feel like it's finally starting to manifest its ugly head. I mean, it has been all along, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is, I feel like we are in the end stages of this thing. That's what it feels like to me. And so, for anyone who's unfamiliar with the series, or maybe this is your first time here, I just want to read what's in the description box. But the Sick and Dangerous Men series is dedicated to raising awareness and exposing the underlying ideologies and philosophies fueling the threats and actions against women and children today by men who are currently free in our society, meaning that they're eventually going to end up in jail. This series provides an in-depth analysis of the specific mindsets, beliefs, and character defects that drive dangerous male behavior and offers strategies on how to mitigate or avoid it altogether. Also, we aim to hold big tech accountable for their role in helping create a hostile and dangerous world for women and children worldwide. And we talked about this on the last installment of this series, but Brazil recently took some action against misogyny. They basically outlawed misogyny. And it hasn't really made a lot of mainstream news over here in the States. I haven't seen anything about it on our mainstream media at all. The only place that I've heard about it was Twitter. And every post that I read was written in Portuguese, but it was translated. So it's like it's not crossing over and making the rounds in terms of news. So I at least wanted to do my part and let you guys know that Brazil has now made it a crime because of their femicide rates, because it was getting so bad over in Brazil. So shout out to Brazil, keep going. Don't stop here. Okay. I also want to give a huge shout out to everyone who supports the channel in any meaningful way, be that Cash App, Patreon, super chatting, becoming a channel member, or liking, commenting, and subscribing. Or now there's this new feature called hyping. So apparently you can hype a video and it's totally free. So if you have the ability to hype this video, please hype this video so YouTube will push it out into the algorithm, okay? So thank you to everyone who supports the channel. I appreciate you all so very much. I really do, okay? Also, after I've finished my content portion, I am going to do a call-in show. We haven't done that in several years. So I think that there's a lot on everyone's mind. And I think there's a lot of people who are deeply, deeply troubled by what has taken place over the last couple of weeks, as you should be. If you're not, I think something might be wrong. But even I had to like take a few days and really gather myself, because it's like I feel like I'm grieving even though I don't know any of these people. I feel like I'm grieving along with their friends and grieving along with their family. Like it hurts. It hurts so much. And I was even thinking about the vice mayor, Nancy Mattier. We're no longer including her married last name. We're dropping that. So her name was Nancy Mattier, the vice mayor of Coral Springs, Florida, who was taken out by her husband. And I was like, why did that one bother me so bad? And I realized what it was. Number one, we're close in age. Number two, she her features remind me of so many different people that I know. She looks like a blend of several different women that I know. Some are close in age to me, some are older, some are a little younger. She reminds me of so many of my friends and family. And it's like, excuse me, I feel like if I lived in Coral Springs and we were in the same circles, I feel like we would be friends. She seems like the type of person I would have been friends with. And I don't know, it just felt like a personal friend was taken out. And then it's like, I look at my life today and I don't really have much of a social circle. And I do think that's largely because I'm an introvert and I just like my peace, to be honest. But also, I was thinking about it and I was like, they're taking our friends out every day. These men are killing our friends every day, potential friends, possible friends, friends we could have met 10 years ago, friends we could have met 10 years from now. They're wiping them off the face of the earth. So you don't even have a chance to meet them and become friends with these women, because these men are taking them out at such an exceptional rate that there are probably women and I don't want to say, I hate the word females. So forgive me if it comes out, because it is just a word in English, but I understand the connotation. But so many women and other female entities that I could have been friends with that I never had the chance to be because some selfish male took her off the face of the earth. Does that make sense? And perhaps I'm thinking about it too much. Perhaps I need to step away from this content a little bit, but it feels like now is not the time to step away. Now is the time to lean in. So I say all that to say that once I'm finished up with my content, we will attempt a call-in show. We'll take a break and then we'll do the call-in portion. We will have a few rules around that. One of which will be, I know sometimes men like to call in more than women for some strange reason. So we'll only hear from a male after we've heard from 3 women. That's the rule. So if 3 women don't end up calling in, we just won't be hearing from any men this evening. Okay? So that's one of the rules. We must hear from 3 women first, and then we'll hear from a male. Okay? So we'll talk about that when we get there. But as always, you guys, let us start the show by reminding everyone why we are here. Let me check the chat real quick, make sure I'm not missing anything. And also, by the way, how is the sound? Because we have our little issues and our little hiccups here and there. Just want to make sure I'm smooth. And as the video is playing, just somebody let me know the sound is smooth and clear and everything. But as always, and as we always do, I want to remind you why we do this show at all. Okay? So I will come back to you after this segment plays. All right, we're back. Thank you to everyone who let me know about the sound. I'm glad that it's good this evening. So, every story that you saw just now happened in like the last 2 weeks. I think the last time we did this show was April 6th, and that was about maybe 3 weeks ago, something like that. And some of them all happened in like 1 week with like a few days in between, no recovery time in between. And when I see this kind of stuff, it's like I have so many thoughts. This is going to be a long show, I think, because I have a lot that I need to say. But one of the things that I think to myself is the last time we did this show, all of those women were alive, with the exception of like some of the older cases that are just now coming back to life. By the way, that David Singer finally got convicted for Celeste, the young woman who was found in his Tesla. So he got convicted, I think either late last week or early this week. Um, but all of these women were alive the last time we did the show. And that bothers me because it's like, to me, it feels preventable in a way. I feel like if our messages, because it's not just me, there's me and dozens of other women on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, trying to get their voice out there and trying to get their voice heard. And I think that we're making an impact, but it's clearly not enough. It's clearly not enough. Like, it's clearly not enough. Whatever we're doing is not enough. Where the warning is not getting out there. And I don't know how to fix that. I think about it often. This is the only way that I know how. The only way. So I'm going to keep doing this until I find a way to get the message out there more strongly. Yes, chat says demonic activity at an all-time high. This past week was so hard. Yes, it was. Like, it was just insane. It was completely, completely insane. So those news stories are largely what triggered tonight's show. And the theme for tonight is extremists. So we're going to dive deep into this. I almost called this show Annihilators. But the reason that I didn't choose Annihilators over Extremists is because the annihilation comes as a result of the extremity. So the whole family annihilator aspect is a result of the extreme everything: mindset, beliefs, thought processes, logic. Okay. So let's start by taking a look at the word extremist. Typically, when we hear this word, we think of it in the context of politics, right? Or, or a religious extremist of some kind, a fanatical. But typically, when you hear extremist, it's associated with one group, typically associated with one religious belief, or one religious faction or sect or whatever you want to call it. And that's typically what comes to mind when people think of the word extremist. But here's what an extremist actually is: an extremist is a person who holds extreme or fanatical political or religious views, especially one who resorts to or advocates extreme action. Okay? Here's another one, or here's some synonyms: fanatic, radical, zealot, fundamentalist, hardliner, dogmatist, bigot, diehard, militant, activist, sectarian. I don't know if I agree with the activist so much as an extremist, because you can be an activist for something and not be an extremist. But whatever, okay? So even though the dictionary still shouts out the political, and maybe that's why people believe that it's only related to politics and religion, an extremist is really someone who holds extreme views, period. They're extreme. They take everything to the extreme. They take everything to the maximum. Okay? There's no middle ground. There's really truly no gray area with an extremist, okay? They only think in black and white, off and on, yes or no. That's it. So, why I categorize sick and dangerous men as extremists are for the following reasons. When they do the things that we just saw, and in general, the way they operate, the way they think, the views that they hold and express openly online all the time, what you start to notice is a pattern of limited or zero logic, limited or zero rationality. They always jump to the most extreme conclusion or solution. So, if you've ever dealt with somebody like this before, they tend to be extremists where you go to express like a boundary or a preference or tell them you're trying to open up the lines of communication and talk to them. And they say, oh, okay, well, if you don't like it, I just won't say anything anymore. I just won't talk. And they won't. They'll go into the silent treatment. Or here's another example of extreme thinking and beliefs and behaviors. If you don't like it, leave. That's one of their favorites, especially in the workplace, but you will often hear that in other places as well, outside of the workplace. So, in other words, I'm not going to consider what you're saying. I'm not even going to weigh it to see if it's true or not. Because keep that in mind, we could always be wrong. Anyone can be wrong. But the extremist is not going to weigh whether or not you're right or wrong or you have a point. They don't go down that thought path. It's off or on, yes or no, black or white. So it's kind of like instead of them saying, you know what, you have a point, I can adjust this, or even, hey, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not willing to adjust that. I don't consider that extreme. You're a jerk, you're stubborn, you might be a narcissist, but at least they heard you. The extremist takes your feedback and they jump to the absolute extreme conclusion. For example, let's say somebody calls you too late and they didn't know that you're asleep. Maybe they called you at 10 and you're like, hey, can you try to call me a little earlier? I go to bed around 9. Oh, don't worry about it. I won't call you anymore at all. It's like, whoa, whoa. I didn't say don't call me. I said, call me a little earlier because I go to bed at 9. But their mind hears that with that zero logic and that zero rationality and jumps to the most extreme conclusion. Oh, you criticized me, therefore I won't call you at all. These are just low level examples of extremist type thinking. Extremists act before they think. They're very impulsive, typically. And they're also typically driven by an ideology. Tends to be political, tends to be religious. And a lot of these men, believe it or not, are driven by fanatical political and religious views. We'll get into that. But an ideology is the most important thing. They are operating off of a set of beliefs and principles. And the things that they believe are leading them to the actions that we are seeing today, is what I'm saying. So the way their minds are structured and set up, it's almost like a roadmap. And their roadmap leads them to destruction. That's what I'm saying. Okay. And whatever ideology they have, they are also extremely committed to it. Okay. Extremely committed to it. They will not deviate from it. They will not hear alternate viewpoints and things of that nature. They won't hear you out. They're extremists. So it's easy to see how a lot of the political and religious things fall into the extreme category because they tend to be extremists, and that's why they can't get anywhere, because no one seems to understand nuance anymore. It's weird. But also I do want to say this quick note really quick on the whole extremist thing. Actually, let me pull that. It's gone. I'll leave it down. Um, in a previous show, I don't remember which one, but some of you were there for it. And someone in the chat asked me, because what I said was, I believe there's something biologically wrong with them, is what I said. And someone in the chat asked me to elaborate on what I meant. And what I said was, I believe it's a form of mental retardation that has yet to be diagnosed, recognized, claimed. Um, we have the different forms that we already know about. They've been well researched, well documented. People get their diagnoses. We know these things. What I'm saying is, I believe there is a hidden and subtle form of mental retardation that the world is not aware of. And I believe this is one of the ways that it comes out, because the human mind is supposed to be able to be flexible. And there's another word, it has to deal with neuroplasticity. But I just cannot think of the word. Maybe that's it. Plasticity, plastic. The mind has to be able to think and move, because if you think about it, it's kind of a survival instinct. If you can't analyze your environment and change course or do something different, you're not going to be able to keep yourself safe for very long. So if a brain can only think in extremes and cannot see everything that's in between those extreme points, that's a person who is inherently unsafe to themselves, and they're also unsafe to everyone else around them for many reasons. So that's part of what makes extremists so dangerous, but that's also what makes me believe that it's a form of mental retardation. And actually, I'm glad I said that, because it reminded me of something I wanted to show you guys. Now, some of you may actually remember this. Some of you may remember this from many moons ago. Let me stop sharing the screen back here to see if it fixes it. There we go. I don't remember what show we did this on. We did this on a show from years ago. I wish I had put the date on here. But when I was setting up for this show, I found it and I was like, oh, I'm going to show this to them again. So the way I'm going to present it to you this evening is in the light of this hidden mental retardation that we can't quite put our finger on. And it's also an example of extremism. So the sick and dangerous men that are also extremists tend to think in very black and white terms. So here's how it goes. Here's your woman at the top. If she seeks out rich or well-off men, the extremist male says she's a gold digger or hypergamous and therefore not worthy of respect. Okay. So then let's skip over stay single for a second. So then on the opposite, if she gives all men a chance or dates poor men, the extremist male will say, well, she should have chose better, and she's therefore not worthy of respect. If she dates for compatibility, meaning someone at her level, her income bracket, well, she's probably sleeping around and is therefore a slut or whore or used up and therefore not worthy of respect. Or if she's dating for compatibility, she's too picky because you're eliminating everyone else because you're trying to find someone you're compatible with. So therefore you're too picky, your standards are too high, you're never going to find a man, and therefore you're not worthy of respect. So do you see how the extreme always ends up in the same place, no matter where it starts? This is just an example. This is what I was talking about. The total inability to come up with any other conclusions in those orange boxes than those right there. And here's another thing about extremists. Once they've settled on an idea, that's it. You're not going to change their mind. So you might as well not even try. But that's also a sign you're dealing with an extremist and probably someone who has this hidden form of mental retardation that we have yet to fully unwrap, basically. But I do believe it's genetic. I do believe it can be passed down genetically. And I believe it shows up very, very, very early in a person's life, like elementary school, if not sooner. I really do believe that. Okay. So I wanted to make sure y'all saw that. And I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you again. I just wish I remembered the original show that it was on. But we've done so much content, my God, over these past 10 years. All right, now let's get into these shocking news stories, okay? I'm not going to do them all. I think actually I'm only going to highlight the two. I'm going to mention the others, but I'm not going to go in depth. I think I want to highlight the ones that are really bothering everybody. Okay. And I think we're going to start with this one. So, Justin Fairfax killed his estranged wife and himself 2 weeks before a court deadline to move out. Okay. And this was published on April 16th, 2026. Former Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, a rising star in the Democratic Party, until sexual assault allegations ruined his political fortunes, killed his estranged wife and then himself weeks before a judge's deadline to move out of their family home, according to police and court records. Before I go on, I think it's also important that I highlight to you bias in the news and framing. And I just don't like this sentence. I just don't like how I don't like it. A rising star in the Democratic Party until sexual assault allegations ruined his political fortunes. Almost like if it hadn't been for those darn women accusing him of sexual assault, he would have been a star in the Democratic Party. Do you know what I mean? Um, then again, maybe I'm triggered. Maybe I'm ultra sensitive right now. Maybe those are just facts. Maybe those are just factual statements. He was a rising star in the Democratic Party, and sexual assault allegations ruined his political fortunes. Maybe those are just facts, but I don't like it because to me, it sets the reader up to believe that he's some kind of victim. Yes, chat says immediate bias. So I'm glad I'm not alone in feeling that way, but I wanted to call it out and I'm going to try to call it out anytime I see it. Okay. So I apologize for breaking up the reading, but I just think these things need to be called out when we see them. Okay. Officers called to the home in the Washington, D.C. suburb of Annandale early Thursday found the bodies of Fairfax, 47, and his wife, Dr. Serena Fairfax, 49. Justin Fairfax fatally shot his wife, a successful dentist, in the basement before going to an upstairs bedroom and killing himself. Their son called 911, so their children were home. Their teenage children were home when he did this. I guess we just have to thank God he didn't kill them too. Wow, what a way to count blessings. What a way to see the silver lining. Oh well, at least he didn't kill the kids too. Yeah, at least, right? Just traumatize them for life. That's all. Just a little trauma to carry through the rest of their lives. But, at least he didn't kill them. One of Justin, I really don't want to read this either because, again, it's framing like a victim narrative, but maybe it's important for me to read it for that reason. One of Justin Fairfax's longtime friends told the Associated Press that he became increasingly despondent after his wife filed for divorce last year. The judge overseeing the divorce recently wrote that his isolation, drinking, and a lack of participation in family life are manifestations of what seems to be a sense of fatalism and hopelessness. Oh, oh, how sad. So you kill your wife and yourself as a solution. That's the solution. That's the solution. And I think what there's so much to be upset about, but one of the many things that I'm upset about is like I I know hard times, like I get it. Like I think we all do. I think there's a lot of us who have gone through some really, 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 really bad times. Times that we didn't think we would be able to pull ourselves out of. Times where we were crying all day, every day, depressed, wondering like, will the tears ever stop? Will the pain ever stop? Will it ever end? I think we've all been there in some form or fashion before, and our solution was not to kill our significant other and ourselves. You know, that wasn't the answer. So forgive me if I have like limited sympathy for the depression. I get it. The depression, the isolation, the fatalism, hopelessness. It's hard not to be fatalistic and hopeless in a failing capitalistic society. It's hard to maintain hope and optimism when you live in a failing capitalistic society run by high-level pedophiles. I mean, who is happy? I'm not laughing. Y'all know me by now. But for any newcomers, you'll get to know me. I laugh in the midst of all this. I have to. Who is happy? Our whole entire society is basically one giant pyramid scheme. It's a fraud and a scam, one that people are waking up to, though. I'm happy to say that. But it's almost like too little, too late. And what bothers me the most, forgive me while I deviate, but what bothers me the most is I saw all this stuff when I was in my 20s. I am in my 40s now. And honestly, y'all, I believe I'm an intelligent person, but I don't think I'm that smart. I don't think I'm so smart that I saw all this stuff coming 20 years ago. I don't think I'm a prophet or a prophetess. I don't think I'm a psychic. I don't think I'm any of those things. All I did was just kind of look around and think a little bit. That's it. All I did was look around and think a little bit and do some basic math and go, well, if we keep doing this, this will happen. That's it. There's no psychic, there's no crystal ball over here. Just looking and going, well, if y'all keep doing that, this is going to happen. And sure enough, like, so the fact that the whole world is just now noticing things like the scam of like the cost of college, the scam of the cost of living, the scam of taxes, the scam of insurance. Y'all are just now catching on to that. Y'all are just now seeing that. I picked up on the scam of insurance the first time I had to pay my own insurance bill. I said, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. I don't have any accidents. Why are my rates going up? I thought when I was in my 20s. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't want to get too far off topic because I'm very passionate about that particular topic, economy, all that. My point is, who's happy? We live in a failing capitalistic society run by elite, global, and local pedophiles. And the solution is not to kill your whole family. That's not the solution. Anyway, let me continue before I get too far off track because I feel it. Um, this is important. Come on, y'all, with all these pop-ups. Come on, please. A turn in fortunes. I don't like the use of this word fortunes. I don't like it. It's not sitting well. You could have said path. You could have said a change in his path. His career path takes a turn. Something. I don't like it, makes it sound like luck. Fortunes makes it sound like his luck went bad. Nah, bruh. This isn't a luck issue. It's not a luck issue. Less than a decade ago, Justin Fairfax's political career was taking off. He won the race for lieutenant governor in 2017 and seemed poised to become Virginia's second Black governor 2 years later when Democratic Governor Ralph Northam faced widespread calls to resign over a racist photo in his medical school yearbook. Fairfax would have become governor if Northam had stepped down. But two women came forward accusing Fairfax of sexually assaulting them years earlier. Fairfax said the encounters, which occurred before he was married, were consensual and refused calls to resign. He tried to run for governor in 2021, but was largely shunned by Virginia Democrats and defeated in the Democratic primary. So, what a lot of people are saying, and we're going to look at some tweets here in a second, is that the women who accused him were the harbingers. They were the warning. They were the canaries in the coal mine. Y'all might want to start listening to Black women when they are warning you. Have y'all not caught on to that trend yet? Y'all haven't caught on to that yet? Every time a Black woman comes out to warn you about something and y'all ignore it, devastation comes shortly thereafter. Y'all haven't caught on to that yet? Like, you know who I'm concerned about? I'm concerned about some of these celebrity males who have been accused specifically but by Black women, but by other women as well, but specifically by Black women. And because it was a Black woman accusing them, everyone dismissed it and brushed it off. And they have not met their consequences yet. I'm worried for them because I'm starting to interpret any warning coming from a Black woman as like a call from the mountaintop saying, hey, y'all, here's what's coming next. Basically, here's what's coming next. Here's what's coming down the pipeline. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Think about it from a societal structuring type of situation, right? They spend a lot of money trying to convince us that we are the absolute bottom of everything. And it tickles me now. Like I want to play bingo or like a drinking game or something when they're like, prices are increasing in the grocery store and they're going to impact Black women the most. Cancer is on the rise and it's impacting Black women the most. Uh, the sky is falling and it's impacting Black women the most. So, in other words, everything, no matter what they're talking about in a news story, they always have to remind us that it's going to hit Black women the hardest, right? Well, that should concern you, boo, because anything that hits us eventually hits you. You don't see that. You don't see that? Anything that hits us eventually hits you. So you should be concerned when you're saying, "Oh, cancer rates are on the rise and it's going to impact Black women the most." Okay, well then you should be scared. That means it's coming your way. Anyway, a career and marriage fall apart. Serena Fairfax said in court filings that she and her husband separated nearly 2 years ago, but they were still living in the same house with their two teenage children, who were both home when the deaths occurred. In a March 30th order, the judge told Justin Fairfax to move out by the end of April, writing, "It is clear tensions in the Fairfax home have been extremely high for an extended period of time." The judge said in court documents that Justin Fairfax's mental and emotional health suffered after two setbacks: his unsuccessful 2013 campaign for the Democratic nomination for Attorney General and the 2019 sexual assault scandal. After both, he drank heavily and withdrew from his family. But while it took about a month to recover from the first setback, he never bounced back from the second. Now, I want to bring something to you all's memory from the last show that we did, which was all about male jealousy. And in that installment, I said how I believe part of the reason today's modern male is so jealous of women is because they're unemployable. Okay. And here's what I actually forgot to say in that segment, but I remembered it when I was listening to the playback, so I'll share it here. Part of that is this. I myself and a whole lot of other people who are always looking for new jobs, honey, even when I'm employed, I'm always got my feelers out, right? So as a result, I have hundreds of rejections in my Gmail, right? And I thought about it and I was like, these guys probably apply to a job, they sit down, they focus, spend about 2 hours filling out the application, making sure their resume is right. They hit submit. And to men like these, they did everything right. They checked their resume, they updated it, no grammar errors, no spelling mistakes. Everything's up to date, clean and accurate, good, strong resume. They have the experience that the job is asking for. They went, they applied, they did it all on their own. And then they get the thank you so much for applying, but we're moving forward with other candidates. What I'm starting to think is that a lot of men today cannot handle that, y'all. Can't handle it. They can't handle these rejections coming through for these jobs and stuff, y'all. They can't take it. Meanwhile, for me, I get it and I'm like, oh well, put it in my folder and I move on. Like I'm so accustomed to it. And I think, in fairness, it has a lot to do with the fact that I know how this stuff works on the back end. So I also know that there's a chance that no one even saw my resume, that AI read it and kicked it out. So a human being didn't personally reject PTE. AI rejected PTE. You see what I'm saying? And to follow that up, even if a human did reject it, okay, what am I going to do? Force them? You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do? Drive up there and demand that they give me the job? Like, I don't have a choice but to accept their decision. And I think that has a lot to do with understanding consent. Now, does it suck? Yes, of course. We were talking about that too, how much different my life would be and how a lot of your lives would be different if you got the jobs that you always wanted. But how our lives have been kind of defined by the people who have said yes to us. And I don't like that. But that's a different conversation. But my point is, I think it has a lot to do with me understanding consent. Hey, I feel like I'm a perfect match for this job. Here's why I think that in the form of my resume. Here's my application. I hope you'll give me a call. And when they actually take the time, at least show the respect to write you back and say, hey, no, thank you, but good luck. Does it suck? Yeah, duh. Of course it sucks. I wouldn't have applied to the job if I didn't want it, but I have no choice but to move on. If I sulk and cry about it and weep and I don't try again, then I'm definitely not going to get another job. One more sidebar and we'll move on, I promise. But here's what I'm hearing from my friends who have kids that are in their early 20s, like I would say 23-ish to like 26-ish, maybe even 21, but I still feel like that's a little young. I think their kids are out of college at this point. They've graduated, at least with their bachelor's. What they're saying is their kids will apply to one job and then they'll wait for weeks and weeks and weeks for a response. And their parents, who typically are millennials, but there are a few Gen X's mixed in there as well, will say, hey, you got to keep applying to other jobs, honey. And th're like, no, I think I'm a really good match for this one. And I'm just going to wait to see what they say. And like they'll wait like 3 months to hear back from that one job they applied to. Sorry. Let me take a sip of my tea here. Mm. And then 3 months later, they get the rejection. And it's like, the job market sucks. It's like, well, yeah, it actually does. I totally agree with you. But while you were waiting, you should have been putting in at least one application a day to a different place because that's just how it works. It's almost like a lottery system, which, if you all are interested in that, I'll explain it in a separate video or stream. But it's basically like a lottery system, is the only way to get a job now. So, y'all let me know if you want to hear more about that. But let me move on. Chat says, why do you think the rejection is so hard for them to deal with? Ooh, chat says zero initiative. Yes, that internal driver. Girl. Ooh. Okay. Let me answer this question. Why do you think rejection is so hard for them to deal with? Because I think for them, I think it's a couple of different things. One, I think internally they're already fragile as it is. A lot of them are already struggling with insecurity issues, and they're already struggling with really weird senses of self. Not a poor sense of self, a really strange sense of self. So when someone rejects you, especially when it's a company that you really wanted to work for, like you really could have seen yourself working for them, I think for them it hurts even more. And especially like for guys who like, for example, I guarantee you there's young guys out there who their dream is to work for Tesla or SpaceX or Google or Meta or Twitter even. And maybe that's been their dream since they were little boys. And then they do the school, they get the certifications, they do the internships, they do all this stuff. In their mind, it's almost like, why wouldn't you pick me? They don't understand why you don't see why they're so amazing. And it's oh man, it's that retardation. They don't understand that people have a choice. You probably are amazing, but it came down maybe between you and this other person, and maybe this other person was just a better fit for the role. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's so hard to explain. Like, you never know is the whole thing, but they take it deeply personally. I don't take it personally. I'm always curious as to why, but you're usually not going to get an honest answer as to why. And I just accept that. Um, I don't think they do. I think they really want to know, well, why not me? You know? Um, to them, it's almost like being rejected by a woman in a way. So, ooh, chat says, I see it like this. Women are at the bottom of the totem pole. We're used to rejection because it's embedded into the system. Women constantly experience rejection all the time. Like, like it's so common. It tickles me. I got one back within hours the other day. I applied to one and like 3 hours later, I'm like, dang, AI, you could have at least let me have the night to have some hope. AI said, let me go ahead and kick this back to her right now so she can just let it go. Thank you. Um, but also, here's the other part of that. A lot of times they won't even apply to the same company again in a different role. I do that all the time. They tell me no for one role. If there's something similar, I'll apply to that one. Like somebody gonna say yes, damn it. And they do. We need to do that other show. I think I need to do a job market show to help everyone who's struggling in the job market right now. To give you a little bit of encouragement, but it does suck. Don't get me wrong, it's awful. You are not imagining that it's awful. It is. But there's strategies, and I would like to share my strategies with you. Okay. Let me continue here. Serena Fairfax testified during the divorce proceedings that her husband drank daily and that his living space was littered with empty wine bottles and piles of dirty laundry. He bought a handgun in 2022 with money intended for horseback riding lessons for their children. Responsible. Sophia A. Nelson, a Virginia author and journalist who described Justin Fairfax as a close friend, said Thursday that he never moved past the 2019 scandal. She told the Associated Press that during a group text with her and another friend on Tuesday, he expressed how the recent sexual assault allegations against Democratic Rep. Eric Swalwell of California had brought back for him what he continued to insist was an unfair rush to judgment. Still not seeing how that like factors in your wife. Why does your wife have to die for that? Nelson said she and other friends repeatedly asked Fairfax to seek help. She urged him to move out, but believes he wasn't able to do so financially. I was concerned, as were other close friends, fraternity brothers, family members. There were talks of, am I allowed to say that on YouTube? There were talks of unaliving thoughts, self-unaliving thoughts. Filings show that Justin Fairfax had financial challenges following the sexual assault allegations, which prompted his resignation as a partner at a prestigious law firm. So it all fell apart for him. The IRS filed a lien against the couple for more than $91,000 in unpaid taxes that was resolved in 2021. So this kind of speaks to the show we did on how these men are or can be liabilities. Okay. Now, I suppose we have to say allegedly because he was never actually convicted of these things, to my knowledge and the best of my understanding. So I suppose I have to say allegedly. But when you go and kill your wife and then yourself in your house with your kids home for them to find your bodies, it kind of gives a lot of weight and a lot of credibility to the allegations. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, chat says she was the breadwinner. Exactly. So when we speak on liabilities, this is what I'm talking about. And also, I think part of the reason this story is hitting me in particular, right, is because they often tell us choose better. And it's been discussed in social media discourse how it's almost impossible to vet them because this man apparently was an attorney if he was working for as a partner at a law firm. He's an attorney. He is college educated. He went on to become the governor of Virginia. I mean, imagine bringing that home to your parents or whoever you care about. Imagine bringing that home. Hey, mom, dad, meet the lieutenant governor of Virginia. I did good, right? And he's an attorney. I did good, right? He's not he's not a thug. He's not a he's not a YN, you know? He it can it get any more clean cut is what I'm asking. Does it get any more clean cut? So when I speak on the liability, I mean, what an amazing liability because I would have trusted this setup. As long as he hadn't shown me any other toxic behaviors, I would have trusted this because that takes a lot. That takes a lot of hard work and dedication. So I would have trusted, I would have gone on a date with a man like this, is what I'm saying. Because to me, I would have perceived him as safe. Do you understand what I'm saying? I would have perceived him as safe as it gets because of his public image. Do you see what I mean? Like he's got brothers that he's got to be accountable to, family, the general public who voted him into office, his government colleagues and peers, his constituents. So he is probably going to be on his best behavior because so many people are looking at him. I would feel safe with a man like this. Chat says the most polished males are crazy high key. Listen, starting to drift over into all territory. And I don't want to be one of those people, man, but I'm drifting into all territory, especially when you have rape academies with 65 million attendees. We'll get there. Well, wow. Look at this. Nelson said Fairfax was unemployable. Well, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Nelson said Fairfax was unemployable after the scandal and tried to rebuild his legal career, but with few successes. Davis, the police chief, said Justin Fairfax was recently served with paperwork telling him when next to appear in court. He said officers went to the family's home in January after Fairfax alleged that his wife had assaulted him, but cameras she had set up around the home showed that the assault never occurred. So this man went to the police trying to file domestic violence charges on his wife, but she was smart enough to put the cameras in the house and catch him in a lie. Like, I just cannot believe so many people are living life like this behind closed doors. And what I mean by that is not that I don't believe it, like I don't think it's not true. What I mean is I'm shocked, is what I'm saying. I'm stunned at the lives people are living behind closed doors and the things that people are going through behind closed doors, right? I live in a neighborhood that has a lot of families, right? And well, I mean, I guess all neighborhoods probably have a lot of families. Duh. What I'm saying is, I perceive a lot of couples with children who I assume to be family, is what I mean, right? And honestly, it's really beautiful, like when I'm looking outside or when I'm outside and I see people walking around and, they're doing their little couple walk. I see people pushing their strollers, walking their dogs with their kids or whomever, their husband. Like it's so, oh my God, what was that? What was that series from like the 70s? Not Partridge Family. I don't know. It's very like, it's very like if you wanted to shoot a commercial about like an ideal neighborhood to live in, you could shoot one here because it's like that. Okay. Um, and then I think to myself, how is it that all this stuff is happening that we see happening in the news, but I see all these happy people around me, right? And then I had to check myself and say, how do you know they're happy, PTE? And I say, well, I mean, I always see them together. They don't ever appear to be broken up. Um, they're talking to each other as they're walking. They seem to be smiling. They seem to be enjoying each other's company. And then again, I checked myself and said, okay. And that tells you they're happy because what? And I had to think about it and I was like, honestly, girl, you have no idea what's going on. Very Brady Bunchish kind of, yeah, kind of Brady Bunch, very like people are pushing the strollers and walking the dogs and yeah, very Wonder Days. Like it's cute. Like and to the extent that it makes me go, how do people have so many interpersonal problems? I'm watching these people live at least their external life, the life that I can observe. I'm watching them live this life and everyone seems so happy. Like it seems like how life is supposed to be. You know what I mean? It honestly seems and feels like this is how life is supposed to be. Neighborhoods are supposed to be chill. People are supposed to be walking their dogs, taking a little jog, pushing their kid in the stroller, walking with their husband or wife, waving hey, hello to the neighbors as they go by. That's beautiful. How the hell is this stuff happening that we keep seeing pop up on the news when there's all this beauty outside? Very picturesque. Yes, thank you, chat. Very picturesque. Okay. So, anyway, he falsely accused her of domestic violence, but she caught him in a lie. So, again, you're not helping your case, brother. You're not helping your case. You got sexual assault allegations that you insist aren't true. You're trying to set your wife up for DV allegations, but she was smart enough to install cameras in the house to record you in a lie and presented that to police. And then your final act was to take her out and then kill yourself. And you want us to believe that you didn't assault these women all those years ago? I mean, I guess we'll never know. But now it seems it tracks. It seems feasible. It seems plausible that you would do something like that because a lot of what these males who behave like extremists do is they're like when an animal is backed into a corner. An animal is the most dangerous when it's basically fighting for its life, is when an animal is the most dangerous. So it makes sense for the animal who at their core are still wild. At the core, yeah, we have domesticated pets, of course, but they're still animals. So at their core, they are still wild. Not necessarily feral, but close. They can always go back there, is what I'm saying. Your house cat can always go back there. Always. Your dog can always go back there, whether or not you want to believe that. Totally capable of going back to that wild place, but kind of chooses not to because they got it good. Why would they do that? However, if you back them into a corner, you might see a different side of them. Absolutely. Chat says never fight with a man who has nothing left to lose. Is that, I think, what you meant to write. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Never fight with a man who has nothing left to lose. Okay. So what makes me afraid of this particular type of man is you don't know how close he is to that particular status, if that makes sense. Some of them, it's pretty obvious, right? But what I have found, or what it seems like to me, is there are a lot of men who have absolutely no problem ending their own life. Um, and I know the causes for self unaliving are multitude and have a lot of biological underlying causes sometimes and depression and things of that nature. I know there's a million different reasons, but what I'm saying is I find a lot of men do it very casually. They casually just in their own life. It's basically their life is nothing to them. It means nothing to them. And I did a video many years ago where I said, the narcissist doesn't care about themselves, so don't expect them to care about you. Meaning, if you can't care about the most baseline participant in this equation, which is you, yourself, how can I expect you to care about me? This is also why so many of the different things that they design, so many policies, so many procedures, so many processes suck because fundamentally they don't care about humanity. It's almost like they can't feel it and they can't even feel their own humanity. So much so to the point that they have no problem throwing it away. It's nothing. It literally, their own life means nothing to them. So if their own life means absolutely nothing to them, how much more can they possibly regard yours? That's what's scary about these extreme men. They don't have the ability to pick themselves back up, rebuild from scratch. And here's something else I wanted to say. I was thinking about the other day. These sexual assault allegations and convictions, whichever one you want to look at, the allegations, the convictions, all that, they are quite devastating, as they should be when they are true, right? So to me, if someone is convicted of these things with proof, you probably do need to go to jail for the rest of your life because it is going to be hard for you to get a job. Do you see what I'm saying? Who's going to willingly let a rapist work for them on purpose? Like maybe you might have them do like the type of work no one else wants to do, right? Where the only other people they're going to be around all day are other men, and you can try to rape them if you want to. They're probably going to kill you if you try that shit with them. So maybe that's the only type of job left for you. But even then, every workplace has at least one woman somewhere. Or even worse, if it's like children that the guy is into, you need to go to jail for life and you probably need the death penalty, to be honest with you, because what are we going to do with you? What are we going to do with you? I bet you were unemployable. It's hard. It's hard when women can't feel safe around you. It's hard when women can't feel comfortable around you because women are everywhere. We are one half. We are the other half of humanity. So if we can't trust you to be around women, or I keep saying women, but they do sexually assault other men as well. Usually vulnerable men who are in a more vulnerable position than they are. So men are not excluded, but typically it's directed towards women. We just need to when they're convicted, we just need to go ahead and put them in jail them up for life because there's nothing else we can do for them. Do you see what I'm saying? Let's read this part about Serena because she's important and she needs to be acknowledged always throughout all of this. A lot of media has been getting criticized heavily and rightfully so for these like flowery stories they're trying to tell about this man and how he was such a good frat brother. And, he struggled with mental health issues and things of that nature, blah, 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 whatever. And I am just loving the clap back because people are just absolutely not trying to hear it. They're like, no, we do not care. We don't care how we don't want to see your birthday pictures. We don't want to see the 50th anniversary picture with you and him and his frat. And what a great we don't care. Some of his frat brothers have been disowning him too, by the way, which shout out to those of y'all who've been doing that. Yeah, Roland Martin got it heavy, heavy, heavy. I couldn't bring myself to watch because in general, I kind of can't stand Roland Martin. But if you ask me why, I wouldn't be able to detail it for you. It's just that every time I watch him, he says something that infuriates me and I have to just click off. And I think it's because he's one of these talking heads who is all, never mind. Let me just move on. Let me move on. I'm getting so much better at catching myself while I'm ahead. Serena Fairfax had a thriving dental practice. The couple met as undergraduates at Duke University and married in 2006, y'all, 20 years ago. Serena Fairfax also attended the Virginia Commonwealth University School of Dentistry, which honored her in 2015 as an outstanding alumna. A profile page on the website of her family dentistry practice described her as an avid reader who liked to travel, practice yoga, go on trail runs with her Vizsla breed dogs, and spend time with her wonderful family. It's very sad for this community. A lot of people who know the Fairfax family, everybody's shocked. We're shocked. And there's been, of course, an outpouring of grief. I'm not going to read the rest. Okay. So I wanted to pull out two tweets I saw on social media that I felt like really, really captured the sentiment and how a lot of people are feeling right now. So let me bring that up. And while I'm bringing that up, welcome to everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm sorry that we're meeting again under such extreme circumstances, but here we are. And I just think it's so important to talk about. Um, I feel like no one else is. I feel like everyone in terms of mainstream media is just kind of trying to ignore this. And it's so weird. Like, I can't watch regular news anymore, which I'm sure a lot of you can't. But there's specific reasons why I can't do it. One, I cannot stand the delivery. Can't take it. It drives me nuts. I can hear it, and it's like a news accent, and I cannot stand it because to me, it's very insincere. And I feel like you're lying to me when you speak to me that way. So that's one reason I don't watch the news. But the other reason is that because they are all so bought out by big, big corporate overlords, they're not really allowed to tell the truth about things. So when I was younger, actually, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a news anchor. I actually wanted to be a news anchor until I found out that news anchors, for the most part, aren't allowed to have their own opinions in things. And when I found that out, when I found out the job primarily was to read what is on the teleprompter and read it well and look pretty while you do it, I lost interest immediately. Immediately, and I changed my major because I was like, "Oh wait, hold up. So I can't give my commentary. I can't give my personal thoughts and things like that." And when I found out the answer was no, I said, "Oh, no, 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 no. I'm not going to just be a talking head. Like, no." So anyway, let me share this with you. But yeah, that's the main reason. I don't like the style of speaking. I can't stand it. And because it's insincere and it makes me feel like you're lying, but also because y'all just don't tell the truth. The news is just like, this is just a tragedy and it highlights the importance of mental health and domestic violence. If you or someone is in a domestic violence situation, no, 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 darling. We got a bunch of sick ass men in our society and we need to talk about it. Because one of the big questions we need to answer is, how did all these boys get so sick? How did they get so sick? Or have they always been this sick? We just didn't know because we didn't have social media. What is the answer? And can we fix it? And if so, how? How do we fix this? Because you can't arrest somebody before they've done anything wrong. So we can't prevent crime by just arresting them all and making them earn their way to freedom. Can't do that. Some men will go their whole life, won't kill anybody. So that would be unfair to them. How do we fix this, y'all? Let me read this post. This was actually on Facebook. It was written by Stacy Patton, and I felt like it really, really, really captured a lot of really great points. So I would like to read it to you. It says, "What's so freaking disturbing for many women watching all this commentary isn't just what Justin Fairfax did, it's who he was allowed to be before he did it. He wasn't an outlier in the way people like to imagine. He wasn't socially isolated, visibly unstable, an incel sitting on social media calling women B words and C words, or marked in any obvious way as dangerous. Nope. He was educated, polished, professionally accomplished, a man who moved through elite spaces with ease, fraternity brother, public figure, suit and tie, the kind of man people point to as proof of success, stability, and respectability. And he still killed his wife. Because so much of what women are taught is that danger looks a certain way, that you can identify it, that you can avoid it, that if you choose carefully enough, choose a man with education, status, presentation, and community ties, then you can reduce your risk. But moments like this rip that illusion. They expose that proximity to power, success, or respectability does not neutralize the potential for violence. In some cases, it coexists with it. In others, it can even mask it. This isn't about suggesting that all men will do this kind of evil. The majority of men don't murder. But this case exposes how unreliable the usual indicators are and how quickly the narrative can shift away from the reality of harm once it happens. And that leaves a very real, very sobering question in the air. If this is what danger can look like, and this is how it gets explained afterward, then what exactly are women supposed to trust? I thought that was amazing. I thought that was just so brilliantly written and expressed. The summary is we've been taught that certain things are danger signals. Certain men you'll look at and or just interact with and immediately know danger, 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 and you'll separate yourself. But what are we supposed to do when he's polished and professional and accomplished? He has success, he's stable, he's respectable. What are we supposed to do? The type of man who, if he proposed to you and you declined and your friends and family found out, they would say, "What is wrong with you? Are you feeling okay?" Look at this man. It doesn't get any better than this. This is Black excellence. This is the definition of Black excellence. And you're going to decline his marriage proposal? Well, that's why you single now. You Black women are never satisfied. That's why you single now. A vice lieutenant governor isn't even good enough for you. Uh-huh. But I guarantee you, there might be an ex-girlfriend in his past who broke up with him in spite of all of this because he showed some toxic warning signs and she got out of there. In spite of his trajectory, she got out of there. So if that person exists, I really, really, really hope that she comes forward. Okay. So there was that one. And here's another one I wanted y'all to see. So let's look at this other one. This was written by someone named Jay Ama. It says, "You do not murder your wife because you are stressed. You do not murder your wife because you lost a primary. You do not murder your wife because Capital One filed a warrant in debt against you for $5,000. You murder your wife because you have always believed at some rotted place in yourself that her life was a thing you got to decide about, that her leaving was a thing you got to veto, that her body, like the bodies of the women who accused you years ago, like the body of whatever 11-year-old girl on a bike was unlucky enough to cross a man like you on a summer afternoon, belonged to you. Vanessa Tyson and Meredith Watson told us who he was. We had the information. A man who was a man who was willing to do what they said he did was always, always capable of this." So there you go. I thought this was beautifully expressed as well because it really highlighted the entitlement, the control. Like, y'all, I know I have a lot of white viewers and viewers of nationalities other than Black or African American, but we have a crisis in the Black community. And I think people are finally getting comfortable enough to say so because understand that the patriarchy extends across all the races. The white male patriarchy is the predominant patriarchy. Oh, but honey, there is a Black patriarchy as well. And part of that Black patriarchy is we are not allowed to speak ill of the men. We are not allowed to say anything bad about the men of our community. We're not. Why? Because racism. Why? Because the white man. Why? Because of slavery. So it's almost like because of what white people did to us in slavery, now no one is allowed to criticize ever. We're not allowed to, or else you get accused of being a coon. You get accused of being a sellout. You get accused of being a conservative, which to me is the most insulting thing that you could call me. Or a Republican, Trump supporter, maggot, you get accused of all these things when you say, hey, Black men seem to really, really be struggling with some sort of really sick entitlement that makes them mistreat their own women to the extent where they're starting to outpace the white guys in family annihilation. We're not allowed to talk about this, though. We're not. Like, we are not allowed to say a Black man hurt me, because that's just you trying to bring a Black man down. You want to know when a Black man is guilty? When he says things like, y'all always trying to bring a Black man down. Oh, he did it. Trust, he did it. 100%. Whatever it is, if that sentence or a form or any variation of that sentiment comes out of his mouth, he did it. Trust me, okay? So it's nice to see, and there's so much more out there. People are saying a lot of really, really good commentary because we're finally facing our biggest demon. And I feel like we, as a Black community, are finally speaking to the one who we're not allowed to speak against. They say to figure out who controls you, find out who you're not allowed to speak against. And in the Black community, it's Black men. We're not allowed to say bad things about them. Absolutely. Chat says the only effect race has on male degeneracy are the methods in which the sick behavior is carried out. Exactly. Exactly. But it's almost like men like this and the other types of men who may not necessarily murder, but they try to murder the spirit every day. So they get online every day and they try to kill the heart, soul, and mind of the Black woman, women in general, but the Black woman specifically. They get online and just all day, every day, just 24/7 streams, just bashing, 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 bashing. And for what purpose? What are you trying to actually accomplish? Now, they'll claim that their goal is to heal the Black community and make it better, but not when you're calling them bitches, sluts, and whore. Do you think that's healing? You think it's healing to call someone a slut? You think it's healing to antagonize the single mothers who are only single because of men like you? You think that's healing for the Black community, or do you think that's going to be more destructive? Anyway, I feel like this broke it open, y'all. Everything that happened the past week or two, plus what happened in the last time we talked about this all, I feel like it's just cracked open. It's just been too many. Because another story, we're not going to read the article, but another story was her name, I believe, is Barbara Deer, Deer. She lost her husband. I believe her husband was ill, and her husband passed away, I think, in 2024. And then for whatever reason, y'all, she was featured in the video. Her son killed her and then killed himself. So it's just like extremists. The theme for tonight is extremists. It's the most extreme solution. So, what I'm guessing they're going to say is that the son was deeply, deeply grieving his father, which understandably so. The loss of a parent is one of the most significant losses a human being will experience in this life. It's like up there in the top three, I think, probably, in terms of losses that will really disrupt a person's psychology and everything, right? The solution is not to kill your mom and yourself. That's not the answer. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that's very extreme. That's very, very, very extreme. Now, we don't actually know. I haven't seen any information on why he did this, if there was a motive, if anyone had any potential signs. I haven't seen anything, but wow, whatever it was, even if y'all were arguing about something, do you think that's the answer? Let me pause here for a second and just say that I'm nursing some other theories, but they're all really, really, really far out there. And I'm thinking about doing that show on a deeper PTE very soon. However, what's holding me back is that I don't want it to be in poor taste, because a deeper PTE, which is my other channel, is all about speculating about possibilities and really, really far out theories. And, we even dive into conspiracies from time to time, not so much as of recent, but I don't want to speculate about these dangerous men and it be perceived to be in poor taste. These people lost their family members. So I don't know that it's in good taste to share the theories that I have, but I want to share them so bad with you guys because to me we're dealing with something different entirely, and no, I'm not talking about spiritual. Of course that's always a factor. But I have a theory and I want to share it with you guys. So what I might do is I might do like a private stream for subscribers over there. And then depending on how that goes, I'll release it to the general public. But I just want y'all to know that I think something else is going on here. And we'll talk about it. Okay. Let's move on to this other story, the other one that shocked. Then we'll take a break. Then I will open up the lines for the call in show for anyone interested. And if we don't get any callers, that's totally fine. I will just close out with my closing thoughts and start work on my next show. Okay. So let us boom. Okay. This one here. This is rocking the whole country, y'all. In Louisiana, a father killed 8 children. 7 of them were his. The 8th, I believe, belonged to someone else, and wounded the 2 mothers of his 7 children. One of the kids survived because he ran from him. And the father actually chased after him and tried to get him, but he got away. And another one ran, but the father unfortunately caught up to him. So, trigger warning, which I should probably always do anyway. I just always forget. But trigger warning, sensitive content, okay? A man in Louisiana killed 8 children. Sorry, this is published April 19th, just a few days ago, 2026. A man in Louisiana killed 8 children Sunday in a shooting that authorities described as a domestic violence incident and was later killed by police after he fled in a carjacked vehicle. These men are complete disasters. The suspect's wife and a woman believed to be his girlfriend were also shot and seriously injured in the violence, which occurred at 2 homes in the early morning. The children were 3 boys and 5 girls, ages 3 to 11. Police had previously given their ages as about 1 to 14. The police chief said, "I just don't know what to say. My heart is just taken aback. I just cannot begin to imagine how such an event can occur. We need to begin to imagine these things, y'all. It's not happening in a vacuum. That's the whole thing about it. Like, it seems like it's happening in a vacuum, but it's actually not. It's predictable to a very large degree. These men do us one favor. And the one favor that they do us is they are incredibly consistent. They are consistent. And it has a lot to do with that extremist brain. They don't live in the middle anywhere. They're on one side or the other. So when you're that predictable off or on, well, when you're off or on, you become very predictable, is what I'm saying. So the one favor, the one gift that they give to us is that they are all pretty much the same. Like, they've basically taken one man and divided him up into about a million different men, basically, of different races, ages, shapes, sizes, colors, creeds, religions, professions, you name it. They've taken one man and chopped him into 1 million. They are legion. And this same mindset inhabits the spirits of all of these guys, to the point where you can predict what they're going to say. If I had the time, we could just go pull up some of their videos, and you could just send me a link and I could just click on it, having never seen it. And I can guarantee you all I have to watch is about 10 or 15 seconds, pause it, and I can tell you exactly what he's going to say. Hit play, nailed it. Let it play another 10 or 15 seconds, pause. I can tell you exactly what he's going to say. Hit play, boom. And we could do that all day long. And my accuracy rate would probably hit at about 99.95%, if not higher than that. So it's almost like, yes, absolutely. Chat says, look at these guys' eyes. They look schizophrenic and possessed. Yes, they do, especially this father who did this. He's scary. When I was making the video, the memorial video, I had to take his picture off my screen because it literally frightened me. He's a scary person. Is his picture in here anywhere? No, they didn't bother putting it in there. Good. Don't even bother. They're not worthy of respect. I'm sorry. Like, I think what else, I'm not going to read all this. I think what else really bothers me about all this is these men, the men who behave this way, are so arrogant, and they always walk around talking about how much smarter they are and how much more logical they are and how they have their emotions under control and how women are the emotional ones. You know, you'll hear them on these panels from time to time. You'll get two of them yelling at each other, right? Two men, two grown adult males who can't communicate, yelling at each other. And then they start to go into, you acting like a female, bruh. You acting like a female. You acting like a female. Somebody asked me earlier in the chat, why don't you like the word female? That's why. They've ruined it. But it's not just me. It's a lot of people don't like that because it's a female can be anything. A female what? Cat, a female dog, a female bird, a female horse. What we talking? A female elephant? Oh, a human female. So a woman. Got it. You were talking about a human female. Got it. So a woman or a lady, right? But I am guilty of using the word female sometimes because sometimes it just fits better structurally, but that's a different discussion. Anyway, the point is they start to accuse each other of acting like women when they're arguing with each other. Okay. And it's kind of like, why can't you just be acting like a temperamental, emotional male? Why is it that every time y'all lose control, you say you're acting like women, but women aren't out here gunning down 8 children and 2 adults. Women aren't doing that. You are. Women aren't out here. Go ahead. My kitty cat got sick of me doing all this talking, so she just left. Yes, do women harm their families and children sometimes? Yes, it absolutely happens. Absolutely happens. But it's far more rare and far less likely than these family annihilators, man. Like, it makes no sense, it's disgusting, and it's like, if every Black church in America is not speaking out about this over the next couple of weeks, they're a joke. One of the victims from tonight's stories was a pastor in the Carolinas? Forgive me, I can't quote it might have been Virginia, I can't remember. Um, a beloved pastor. Her husband killed her on Easter Sunday. So what are we doing, y'all? Like, seriously, you know? Um, and did he kill himself too? I can't remember, but it doesn't matter. It's just like we're not livestock that you can just shoot in the field and chop up for meat. You know, we're not rabid dogs that are roaming the neighborhood, foaming at the mouth, chasing kids, trying to bite them that need to be shot and put down. You know, we are human beings, but it's like they just don't see us that way. It's terrifying. And to me, I'm starting to be afraid of all men, including men in my own family. And here's why I say that. Because, you know, well, of course, not my dad, not my brother, not my cousin, not my uncle, not my nephew. Of course not. Not my men. Those are your men that are doing all this stuff, right? And I'm sure the women in these guys' family would have said, well, not my son, not my father, not my brother, not my uncle, not my nephew, not my cousin. Of course, not my men, your men. Everyone in the chat, all the ladies in the chat, of course not your dad, brother, uncle, son, cousin, nephew. Of course not your men. It's our men doing this stuff. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, do I want to delude myself into believing that I somehow got lucky and got the best men on planet Earth and it's all of you guys's males in your family causing all these problems? I think that's a foolish, foolish, foolish thing to believe. I think that's a foolish thing to believe. So to me, it's not so much that I necessarily fear. What I'm saying is, I don't put it past any of y'all, is what I'm saying. I don't put it past you. And I think that's the safest position to have. It's like, I'm not saying I don't trust you. What I'm saying is, I don't put it past you because, again, the topic of tonight's show is extremists. And you just never know what someone is up to in their private life that might cause them to crash out in a spectacular way later on in life. You don't know. I don't know what the men in my family are up to all day long. I don't have insight into their worlds like that. I don't follow them around all day. I barely see any of them. It's a rare occasion I even see any of them. So I don't know what they're up to all day. But of course, not my men, yours. They're yours. I have all the perfect ones. You're the ones with the malfunctioning ones, right? Chat says, in other words, not my fill in the blank syndrome. Okay. So, my God, those poor children, man. I just, those poor mothers. So much pain. It's like, how can one person cause so much pain? You know, it's almost like you've been deployed for destruction. But we'll get into that on another channel in a different day. So here's what we're going to do right now, you guys, okay? We are going to take a little break. Let me see how long my break music is. It's only 2 minutes. I need a little bit more than 2 minutes. I need like a 5-minute break. So what we're going to do, I'm going to put my break music on and let me actually go ahead and share the link in the chat. So those of you who are interested in coming up and you want to talk, you want to share some thoughts, tonight's your night. For those of you who wanted to call and show, the rules, let's talk through some forum decorum. Here's the link. Actually, before I share the link, let's do the rules. So I would like to hear from three women first before I'll hear from any male callers. If we only get one woman and no others, then we won't be hearing from any men tonight. If we only get two women and no others, we won't be hearing from any men tonight. But if we get three women, I'll hear from a man after that. So that's the ratio. Have to hear from three women first, then we'll allow a man to speak. And then it resets. Three women, then a man. I doubt we'll have that many people calling in because I never do this. So I don't think you guys are like primed and ready for that. But for those of you who want to call, feel free. I don't think I need to do a time limit, but maybe let's keep it to 3 minutes and under. I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see which way it goes. Also, you do not have to be on camera. That is not a requirement. Um, just make sure you know how your technology works, because if you've got it on, I don't think I can turn it off if you want it off. So make sure you know what you're doing on your end. But I think I can see you before I put you live. I don't know, y'all. I don't actually know what I'm doing. So here's what we're going to do. Here's the link. I haven't done this in years, so I actually don't really know how this works. Three women, then one man. And I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in about 4 or 5 minutes, okay? So those of you who want to come up, this is your chance, okay? All right. I will see you guys back in about 4 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like the video. right. We are making our way back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thank you for sticking around with me. I appreciate you guys. Chat says PT's taste in music is always great. I like the track she uses for her channel. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's actually a real challenge getting music on this channel. So I'm glad that you like it. So thank you. So far, we have no takers for the call in show. I was hoping we would get at least one, but that's okay. I'm going to leave it open for just a little bit longer. I'm going to drop the link again for anyone interested. And what I'll do instead is I'll start sharing my closing thoughts. And then if we get any takers, we'll go ahead and hear them out. Or do I need to alter my rules? I know there's at least one guy listening that wants to call in. I'm trying to prevent you all from coming in and derailing, as you have a tendency to do. So that's why I wanted to let the ladies speak first. But if no ladies are going to go first, I'll give it, what time is it? Let's see. It's 8:48. I'll give it 2 more minutes. Oh, you're coming up? Oh, yay, Liz. Yay. All right. Well, we got one coming up. And then if there are no ladies after Liz, then we'll let one of the guys come up. Come on. Because I know I know that y'all want to speak. Chat says, "Man, here I'm okay with not speaking. You can if you want to. You've been around. I feel like we've vetted you a little bit, so you all right with me? AT. I always want to call you ATM Miles, like Money Miles, but you're all right with me because you've been around for a while. I F's with you. All right. We have Sun and Sunflowers. I'm going to pull you up, okay? Sun and Sunflowers. I haven't done this in a long time, so forgive me. All right. Add to the stage. So I believe, and then do I have to unmute you? I think so. Let me see. Do I unmute or do you unmute? I think you have to unmute. Uh-oh, what happened? All right, y'all, forgive me. I haven't done this in a long time, okay? It says devices not connected. They will need to connect their mic before you can add them to the stream. Okay, so it looks like y'all need to connect a microphone. So we'll wait for you. I'm so excited that we have callers. Yay! Oh my gosh, we haven't talked to each other in a long time. I'm excited. All right, so I think they'll be back. Yeah. No rush. Take your time because I still have closing thoughts. So I'll just work through these closing thoughts and then I'll bring y'all up when you're here, okay? So we covered a lot tonight. Tonight's theme was extremists, sick and dangerous men, extremists, and most of them are. And to be clear, we're talking about the ones who happen to be sick and dangerous. You have to clarify these things. All right, let me add you to the stage. Okay, I think I added you, Sun and Sunflowers. And then, do I unmute you? No, I think you have to unmute yourself. Either that or I don't know what I'm doing, which is entirely possible. Do I have to take this down? Let me see. No, that's not how that works. Okay, all right, let me try again. All right, Liz, I see you and you're aware that you're on camera, right? Okay, you're off camera now. All right. Hey, Liz.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Um, I'm not gonna lie, these stories have kind of been my obsession the past week and change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I really care about this stuff, and also I really love your Sick and Dangerous Men series.
Thank you.
I am like a justice oriented person. I watch a lot of true crime. That was a cop, like I really care about women's issues and this
Mm-hmm.
because this is like, I'm sure like many women, this is your biggest fear. This is your biggest fear. that the person you're laying next to is literally could just, kill you. Like,
Mhm.
or that someone you're dating is crazy, or
Mhm.
they start stalking you or something like that. So, I did come into the stream a little, well, pretty late. So, was there like a certain question you were proposing, or just generally talking about these stories?
Yeah, it was more general, and I just wanted to give everyone an opportunity to kinda express any thoughts they may be having, because this was so shocking to everyone. So it's really more of an open forum, whatever's on your mind.
Okay, yeah. So, ugh, so much is on my mind. This is really stressful.
Mhm.
It's really hard to read the comments that I've been calling them now. Sorry if you hear my dog. I've been calling them now future killers,
Mm.
because in the comments section, like on the Justin Fairfax story, on the Ashley Janae story, they are basically like their first instinct is to empathize.
Mhm.
The Serena Fairfax one is, totally triggering, because it's like they're like, well, dude, stop. They're like, oh, they were getting a divorce. She's taking his kids away from him. This is what happens when you play with people's emotions. Men love harder than women. She was gonna take him to the cleaner. She's gonna take him for everything he got. I'm like, did y'all even read the article? Like,
Right.
she was a dentist, and with her own practice. I have a cousin who's a dentist with her own practice. I'm like, there's zero chance he was the breadwinner. Zero
Mhm.
chance. Especially in that area, if she's like in those elite circles and stuff like that, like she's making a lot, a lot of money. And
Mhm.
it's just so frustrating watching them go straight to empathizing with the guy.
Mhm.
Um, and then I'm just kind of ranting right now. There was a clip I saw of Godfrey talking about the Ashley Janae situation, and he said something like, "I'm glad that the guy's not black," and I'm like,
Wow.
oh, like, I'm like,
Wow.
well, first of all, and then I launch into my paragraph tirade about, you know, a black woman murdered every 6 hours, a white woman murdered every 7 hours,
Mhm.
like okay, Ashley Janae's killer might not have been black, but since she died, at least 24 black women have been killed. So,
Exactly.
and over 90% of the time it's by a black man, and over 50% of the time it's by an intimate partner, some family member, something like that.
Mhm.
So it just, and it's like they're coming out of, stop, please. It's like they're coming out of the woodwork to comment on this story. Where's Godfrey's video about Serena Fairfax? Where's that video?
Mhm.
Where's, they just pick and choose. And it's just so freaking frustrating. It's like, it's just, and to watch the comments, yeah, I call them future killers, because they empathize, they try and find some way to say she had it coming. And I
Mhm.
see so many comment, like the fact that he is an alcoholic, I'm like, all right, he just murdered his wife and then himself in the house with the kids home. You're trying to convince me he's not capable of assault,
Exactly.
assault. Am I supposed to really believe that? You know?
As if they're that different from each other.
Yeah, like if he's capable of that, and he was probably beating her up before that, doing
Mhm.
stuff, being aggressive, stalking her, he whatever he was doing, it was to the point where she put up cameras in her own house.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then, I don't know if there's other people, but one thing I do want to say that I thought someone said this and it was really important. They said that they talked about how in Virginia, when you file for divorce, you have to stay living with the person or something
Mhm.
like that for up to a year in order. She had to do that in order to get the house or something like that. That is so freaking dangerous,
Mhm.
so freaking dangerous. I remember my cousin, she got divorced in Maryland, and she had to stay married to him for 6 months before they would, let the divorce go through. Like, Why does that, like, why does that law needs to change immediately? Like, you should not be forced to live in the same house with someone you're divorcing. Like, it's this, I don't know if it's the Christian thing hold on America that's like, if I want to divorce someone, let me freaking divorce them. Why is it any of your business if I want to freaking divorce someone? Like,
Mm-hmm.
all it's gonna take is one person wanting to divorce, and it should go through. Like, period. Like,
Exactly. Well, it's them wanting to keep women trapped in these relationships and,
yeah,
make it hard for them to leave these dangerous men. And I believe it's because they know that a lot of these men aren't stable without a woman, if that makes
yeah,
sense. So it's almost like society doesn't want to deal with them. So it's almost like we're their babysitters in a way. And it's like, please babysit him. Please don't turn him loose on society. Stay with him so he'll stay sane type situation. But that's not our
yeah.
responsibility, you know? And then as far as the Ashley Janae situation you brought up, what bothers me the most about that is that some Black men are saying things like, well, that's what she gets for dating outside of the race. But look what dating inside of the race gets us.
Yeah.
So you see what I mean? It's on, like you said, they're trying to imply that she deserved it. But
I think, yeah.
I appreciate you, Liz. I have a sun and sunflowers to bring up. Did you want to add anything else before we wrap?
I kind of did. I kind of just
Oh,
one
go ahead.
thing.
Go ahead.
So yeah, again, I watch a lot of true crime documentaries, and I watched one like 2 days ago where, yeah, this guy, ex-boyfriend, she broke up with him. She got a restraining order against him. Okay, he broke the restraining order. He went to jail. He was bailed out the next day, and he went and stalked
Mhm.
her again immediately. Called the police. They didn't catch him. 2 days later, he stabbed her to death coming home from the movies. Okay, if
Wow.
someone gets a restraining order against a man in DV, and if they break, you get one chance. If you break that restraining order, you should be forced to be in jail for 30 days, 90 days, six
Mhm.
months, because they need to calm down. Like, they're either manic or whatever's going on with them. They
Mhm.
need time to sit down and calm down. If you break the restraining order one time, you should go to jail, no bail. You're violent. You need to stay in prison.
Mhm.
Like, you're an adult. We told you not to go near this person. Don't go near her. Leave her alone. She doesn't want you anymore. If you break that, prison.
Mhm.
But I don't
Mhm.
think they're going to do that because, like I said, I call them future killers because I believe the judges, the lawyers, all these men see themselves in these killers that they could one day possibly get to that point. And that's
Mhm.
why they're so lenient on them.
It's funny you say that. I'm gonna bring you up sun and sunflowers, I promise. Don't hang up, okay? It's funny you say that because so many men, and I see this out of a lot of older men, is their reaction is, "Well, you women need to watch your mouth." Almost like sassing off at the mouth is worthy of death,
Yeah.
basically, And, I agree with you about the restraining orders as well, like, when a woman is following the protocol and following the law, and it's still not working, the whole system is designed to protect the abuser, and you're right, they do see themselves in these men, because I think a lot of them have had to pull themselves back from harming their families before. Like, they had to go take a walk or go play golf, so they relate, they're like, "Yeah, I've wanted to do the same thing, I just didn't do it," which is
Yeah.
very sick, you know?
Yeah.
And future killers is an amazing term, we will be using it, and we'll give you
I
okay,
know
because
it's
it's
very
true.
pessimistic, but
No,
that's
no,
how I
no.
feel.
It's very, very true is what it is. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate you so, so much. Did you wanna add anything
Yes.
else?
Thank you so much for coming up. No, I'm gonna let somebody have their turn. If you want to have me back, I'll be here listening. I could come back.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Well, thank you, and you're welcome to stay in the background of the studio if you want to.
Okay. Do you just close it off, or like how do I?
I think let me see. I think I think I just mute you, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
okay. Alright, cool. Alright, I'm gonna bring up thank you, Liz, I appreciate you. I'm gonna bring up sun and sunflowers.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi,
Hey,
Kate.
PCE. Hi. Um, this was a hard one for me for the last week because with the Janae one,
Mhm,
that just watching the comments, I really had to ignore and just like the previous caller was saying about what they were saying about her.
mhm,
And right after that, with what happened with the children. And that's in my home state. That's where I'm from. I'm from Louisiana. So that kind of hit me pretty hard. But hardly no men said anything about that. No, they didn't say hardly anything. It was like they just totally ignored that
mhm,
what happened. And it was horrible. And it just to think that the ladies that are in the hospital have to wake up and come out the hospital and see that their children have been harmed or
mm,
unalived. That
mm.
really just was so hurtful and upsetting.
I agree. It's so disrespectful of the process of pregnancy and birth and life and like and the labor that's gone into caring for all those children and keeping them alive and healthy and as happy as they possibly could, and it's just like these kids just mean nothing. And it's almost like he's more determined to hurt her or hurt those women than he ever cared about those children ever. It's just it's deeply disturbing.
And he did say that he loved his children, but to
Mm,
go ahead and just take them all out one by one, it was just monstrous. I just was so I couldn't even I really did shed a tears, real tears for those children.
mhm, mhm. What a terrifying thing, like, and it's your dad of all people. Of all people, it's your father, you know? Um, I s
Most of these men were not working, or as you say, unemployable. So
unemployable.
they weren't working, and the the Shreveport incident, he was cheating. So
Mhm,
she was ready to divorce him. So that just put him over the edge. But it's just the audacity.
mhm, mhm. It's stunning, and to me, it's indicative of a society where people really truly feel like they're so out of options that they feel that that's the final option. Well, if no one will listen to me, if I can't get the attention or the cooperation that I require, I'll just kill all of you. And
Right.
that's a very extreme solution.
Yeah.
Um, what
I think
else
I
would you like
kind
to?
of I think I kind of recognized since the corona that men were becoming more and more volatile. They were becoming more volatile more than ever before.
Mhm,
I mean, they were hurting women over the funding checks and COVID checks. They
mhm,
were for little or nothing. And I started seeing the comments on different social media platforms where they just were just volatile. The comments were about hurting women.
mhm, mhm. It's kinda like it makes me go, what did we do?" You know? Like, we were born, and I felt like we've been hated at least since I was in my 20s, and I'm in my 40s now. So, it's kinda like, what did we do? Just exist? Like,
Right.
what you know what I mean? Like, it's frightening because when I was younger, I really believed men to be my friends, males to be my friend. And obviously, I know the whole, "Oh, men wanna sleep with you, they'll pretend to be your." I get all that. But what I'm saying is, I believed it was possible to have casual, friendly relationships with men because I thought most of them were good people. But I'm starting to have my doubts. We have a gentleman who's called in, Sun
Oh,
and
okay.
Sunflowers. Would you like to add anything else before
That's it. Thank you for having me.
you
You
are?
can you can drop me down. I'll be in the comments, or do I need to drop down? It's
I'm gonna try. I see an option that says kick, but I hope it's not a bad thing. I'm afraid to use it because I'm afraid I'm gonna do something bad. I'm gonna hit kick, and will you write in the chat and let me know if you're still here?
Okay. Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you for having me.
Thank you, son. Thank you for always supporting. I appreciate you. All right, I'm gonna kick you. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Oh Lord, hold on. She'll be removed if you want to. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. I kicked son, but I didn't kick her out. I just think that's the only option. All right. We have a gentleman. We have Manny. Manny, are you aware that your camera is on? Yes. Oh, hold on. Let me add you. Let me add you. Hold on. Okay. And would you like me to display your camera or do you want me to leave the thumbnail?
Um, it's either or, whether whatever is good for you.
Okay. I just want you to be comfortable. I'll leave it like this, but if you want me to display, you just let me
Okay,
know. So what's on
okay,
your
thank
mind,
you.
Manny? We got a gentleman. I'll be nice as long as you are.
Thank you. I always appreciate your channel and everything.
Mhm.
Um, I've been actually hearing this series, the men's series and everything, and uh, I wanted to share that men, we have like a loss of identity, and because of that, we are not able to take care of our duty.
Mhm.
Of course, everyone has a duty. Women has a duty, men has a duty, but our role, especially, is kind of lost because we're not really spiritually inclined. So
Mhm.
it's very easy for us to get lost with our untouched emotions.
Mhm.
Our untouched emotions are lack of maintenance of our mind. So it's hard for us to even interact with this world, or so what to speak of women. So it's very it's a quiet predicament. So everything that you're listing off is correct, but how to correct it, I think it's a spiritual connection that's required.
Hmm. Talk to me about the loss of identity and tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I can say that the loss of identity, it can stretch back to, I mean, this whole country. I'm not Christian personally, but I can see in the past it was more religious, um, even like to a point where they're comfortable with their relationship with God.
Mhm.
So community can be connected not based on bodily relations, but even greater than that. Like I'm a spiritual person, you're a spiritual person, so it crosses border. So that connection that you're saying, like that platonic relationship between men and women, it could happen, but on a spiritual level, just as black and white or Asian, Chinese, anything like that. It doesn't have to be so much tension, so much narcissism. All these things, even narcissism, it can be cured just by this understanding.
You think it can be cured? See, I don't think so. Tell me why you
Mm.
think it can be cured. Talk to me.
Um, for instance, narcissism. Um, I mean, if I understand from what I heard from your videos,
Mhm.
narcissism is just a repetition of their own shortcomings in their mind. So they don't want to be found out. They want to be perfect. They want perfection, material perfection. Everyone wants it. No one wants to be called stupid. No one wants to be caught, lacking.
Mhm.
So if there is an opportunity that they can gain something and they don't have to like strive in like a material sense for perfection, then they can stop this big whole show. This is a whole show that they perform for the outside world or make others perform for themselves to get some sort of inner fulfillment. It's
Mhm.
impossible. Not even God can fulfill that. That's why He doesn't give us so much material things. But something spiritual can fulfill it. It's possible.
Well, let me ask you this. I want to pick your brain a little bit. My first
Mm.
question, are you a millennial, Manny?
I'm 29 years old. I'm
Okay.
born in 1997.
Okay, so you are upper Gen Z, I think. You're like right on the cusp, sort of, kind of.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm. Mhm.
And are you from the States?
I'm born in America. I was born originally in Florida, but now
Hmm.
I'm living in Pennsylvania.
Okay. So, and I asked you those because this is good because I want to make sure that we kind of came up the same, even though there's kind of an age gap between us. But
Hmm.
here's my question. From your perspective, from the male perspective, what is causing young men and young women to be so different in terms of how they process and handle emotions? Because women have emotions too, extreme emotions, but I feel like we
Hmm.
don't take it to this level of acting out. So, what do you think is occurring that's causing that difference between us, in your opinion, from the male perspective?
I think it again comes down to identity. Once you come down to some sort of crisis, even joy, if you don't have the opportunity to express it with that knowledge of who you are, then it's not going to come out right. You're not going to have even having a proper objective will get you in a proper situation. Like, yes, women, they can be, uh, more emotional, but actually, women can be more spiritually inclined than the men because they're able to harness. Uh, um, they don't rely on like meticulous logic because like they can actually get attuned to things very very easily. That's why sometimes you see the women are equally as spiritual as the man, even though the man has done some sort of austerity. It's very easy for women to like be spiritually uh, as powerful as the man just by doing her duty. But why the man is defective, even to a point where he becomes more emotional than the woman. I think it's because he's in the sways of the world, and it doesn't have to be like that. I don't think so.
Would you agree with my theory that men are more easily led than women, that they can get swept away much more easily by influences?
Well, j- just like in the animal kingdom, there's different lures for different animals. So one is going to be weaker to the other sort of lure. A honeybee is like weak to the allurement of nectar in the flower, or the fish is allured by the taste of some sort of bait. So similarly, men, we are allured by the touch of a woman, and women are allured by the opulence of a man. So by influence, let's say, we want, as a man, we would want, a nice woman, a nice facilities for, producing, for the woman, or trying to show our prowess or chivalry. But at the end of the day, if we don't understand ourselves, then these are just devices to keep us from understanding ourselves spiritually.
Do you, oh, sorry, it sounded like
Mhm.
you were going to say something else. Go ahead. I have
No,
another one.
I don't have anything else to say. I would want to hear from you.
Well, let me ask one more question. Do you think men are shallow? Do you find men to be shallow? It sounds like that's what you're saying a little bit.
Well, those who are not spiritually inclined, you're going to find uh, it's going to be shallow, regardless of men, female, um, black, white. So in any case, the spirit, like being spiritually inclined, it clears out any sort of you know hackneyed or blandness. that we will see. Uh, we can see in this world, why is everyone doom scrolling? Because they're trying to find some novelty. Men, we are meant to search out for something. Why do we have so much inclination, uh, so much brain power? It's not for doom scrolling, but yet here we are. We're trying to squeeze out some sort of novelty materially, but it's impossible. Spiritually, we can find that. Spiritually, we can find renewal.
That's interesting that you say that. Actually, I think you raise a very interesting point. Um, you said that you have all this brain power. It's not for doom scrolling, and I do agree, right? But here's my question: primarily, for the most part, big tech consists. I would say it's predominantly male. I would say 80% probably. Software developers, engineers, coders, things of that nature. Why are men designing things that make other men miserable? What is up with that? That to me is it's a mystery question because it's kind of like I see that men are in the power or have the majority of power positions. They have the jobs that create these amazing things in our society, but so often they design misery. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. What's your opinion of that? Do you know what I mean when I say design misery? Oh, did he hang up? Oh, he hung up on me. Oh no. Well, I guess that happens. Maybe he lost connection. Um, well, that was fun. Liz, do you want to come back up? Let me unmute Liz real quick and see if she wants to come back up. I'm going to unmute you real quick, Liz, if you're listening.
Okay.
Hey, Liz. Can you hear me?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you?
He probably he seemed pretty engaged, so he probably just dropped out on accident. But you know what just came to my mind while listening was that I feel like someone that's watching your channel is
Mm-hmm.
kind of not the audience that needs to hear the message. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I'm like
Absolutely.
listening to him and I'm like, dude, these guys are not this deep, okay?
Right.
Like I've talked to, just through work or whatever, and it's very shallow stuff. Like, even my friends going out and dating, like it's the same story over and over again. We don't talk about anything. He doesn't ask me questions. He's not like they're not thinking about no spiritual stuff. Like the guys in the comment section, those hundreds of comments that are basically in short saying she had it coming are
Mm-hmm.
not like, thinking about being spiritually in tune. It probably should be.
Mm-hmm.
It probably should be, but I don't think they are. Um, there was one thing I wanted to add to the last thing I said because I just remembered. But when I talked about how if you if you're involved in a domestic violence incident and you get a restraining order and you break that restraining order, with proof, and they go to jail, I mean, they need to go to jail because a lot of the times these people are alcoholics or they're on drugs or whatever, and they
Mm-hmm.
need to get sober. Like you can't just like they shouldn't be able to just pay $1,500 or whatever it is and just be back out on the streets like the video I saw of the girl, I wish I could remember her name. There's so many of them. I just can't remember all their names. And they showed the video, the survey, the I guess ring camera or security camera video
Mm-hmm.
of him getting out of jail and coming to her. He looked so crazy. Like he was running around her house at night, looking through her windows and shit, running back and forth, like put a tracker on her car. It's like, whoa, like you're a
Mm-hmm.
freaking menace. Like you're like really, really psycho. Like you're really, really crazy. And I thank God that I haven't had that experience, but it's partially because of that like avoidance anxiety because I'm like, as soon as I sniff some type of weird thing with you, I'm gone. Poof.
Mm-hmm.
Wind, smoke, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
and I really actually resonated with what you said about how you don't want to say not my brother, not because you can't put it past them. And I have people in my family too that I've been like, I would not put it past you. So I will keep my distance from you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? At this point, everybody's a suspect.
Hello.
Okay?
Hello.
Everybody's a suspect. Neighbors, people at
Yes.
the on the street. You know what I mean? I'm walking down the street. I see a male figure coming towards me. I turn around, go back home when I'm walking my dog, or I cross the street, or I carry while I'm outside. Like I'm like, and it's just so sad because I'm like, I shouldn't have to live like this. I shouldn't have to live like this. Like, this is okay, random, but like, I injured my foot recently. So
Mhm.
I'm walking with a boot. And I'm like, it's a legitimate fear of mine that I'm like, possibly to be more likely to be victimized now
You're
because I
vulnerable.
can't run. I can't run, I can't stand. So it's like I'm like, I have to carry now because I can't fight somebody off at this moment. You know what I mean? Like
You know,
like why do I have to torment myself with these thoughts every day? Like, you know?
it's funny you say that, and I see your back, Manny. So I'll bring you up in a second because the other day I actually hurt my foot, and
Uh-huh.
I was actually walking with a limp, and I thought the exact same thing. I was like, I really hate that people can see I have a limp right now
Yeah.
because that means I can't run. There's a lot I can't do with a hurt foot. So
Yep.
I totally understand what you're saying. And let me say this, and then I'm going to bring Manny back up, okay? Is I feel the same way you do. I look at everyone, every male with suspicion,
Yeah.
for the most part. And I'm going to tell you and everyone what my mom told me when I was very little. She said if anyone ever basically attacks you or tries to grab you or take you, she said you fight to the death.
Yeah.
Fight to the death. She said it does not matter who it is, where it is, when it is. She said you fight to the death and you fight dirty. She said even if they successfully take you out, basically, they're going to have a lot of scratches and scars and explaining to
Yep.
the police. So she said, you fight to the death. And for me, that filled me with like a certain confidence. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you might rush me, you might sneak me, but the only way you're going to get me is if you put one in my head before I can turn around. Because if
Yeah.
I get the opportunity to turn around, that's it. We're rumbling.
Yeah.
We're rumbling
Exactly.
now.
I don't remember her name, but there was a girl who, I mean, she did end up, passing away.
Mhm,
But yeah, the guy, I don't know if it was a famous story. She was riding her bike, and the guy came and knocked her off her bike in his truck, and she fought like hell, and that was the only reason she got caught because I don't know, she bit him real bad. He was bleeding real bad, and it got infected, and he had
mhm,
to go to the hospital, and like the doctors were like, "This is very weird," and they reported him because it looked like he had defensive wounds on him, and
mhm.
yeah, he ended up getting caught for it. So yeah,
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Liz. I'm going to bring Manny up
you're,
again, and then I
you're
see what is
welcome.
happiness and ATM mile, May Miles. So thank you. I'm going to mute you again, okay?
Yeah, yep, no problem.
All right. Manny, thanks for coming back. I'm going to bring you up for a few minutes, and then we're going to bring some other folks up, okay?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem. Did you hear my question before it dropped?
No, I'm sorry.
So the question was, why do men design misery? Because you're saying that part of
Mm,
the issue is a loss of identity, loss of the spirit. And what I was saying was that, men are in charge of so many things, so many systems.
mm.
Why do they design misery for each other and everyone else? What's up with that?
I think that's uh, as you may have heard, the law of karma. There's a lot of things that's going on that's beyond our control. But yes, men are bringing about destruction upon themselves because when a lot of things are holding up society, like tradition, that's that elevates the consciousness towards God. That causes a lot of chaos. So yes, we are bringing ourselves miseries by not doing any sort of proper principles that holds up a society that protects women, that protects ourselves, that actually uplifts everyone.
Hmm. Okay. Well, thank you, Manny. Would you like to stay in the studio and I'll just mute you?
Yes, that'll be nice. I thank you for the show, and I always appreciate your videos.
Thank you. And as a young man, I want you to keep focusing on searching for the truth and keep improving on yourself, okay? Don't
Thank
ever
you. Thank
stop.
you.
God, I'm becoming one of those old people lecturing young people. God, help me. All right. I saw What is Happiness next. I don't know if this is a man or a woman, so this is a surprise. So let's see what we got.
Hi, my name is. Hi,
Hi.
I'm a woman.
Hi. Hi.
Hi,
Hi. Hello.
hi. Thank you for having this phone-in call. I've been a huge fan of your channel for years, so I
Thank
wish you would do this
you.
more often. So, I just wanted to. Oh, sorry.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to comment on something that you said earlier in the show.
Mhm.
You said we were talking about how they're unemployable, some of these men, and you said, well, they should stay in jail because who's going to hire them? And
Mhm.
I yelled out, I said, plenty of people, because un- unfortunately, I feel like our society does condone a lot of this behavior. Like you would, like I know
Mhm.
that politician or lawyer, whatever he was unemployable at the time, but eventually someone would cut him a break. I mean, I feel like men always look out for each other. Like
True.
there is a channel on YouTube. I watch these parole hearings all the time, and you probably wouldn't be surprised, but all the time I see people coming up, family members, friends, bosses, teachers saying, "Oh, I know he raped two girls over, or molested two children over the course of 10 years, but he's a good guy and he deserves another chance. And he's a good father." And like, and
Mhm.
prosecutors push back on it. But, I mean, I feel like some extremism has become so commonplace that people don't think it's as severe, like even like a sexual assault, whether it is grape or other, I guess, milder forms. People don't think of that as extreme, but to me, if you could do something like that, even touch someone inappropriately, that
Mhm.
opens up a whole world of things that I now think you're capable of. But others may look and say, oh, he just touched her, he didn't know, and things like that. So I
Yeah,
feel
they
like, unfortunately, like our society, like we make a place for them. Unfortunately, I hate that it's like that, but
and you know what? You bring up such a good point because I think what concerns me is we're only actually getting what they're willing to share online in the general public. But can you imagine what's being discussed behind closed doors, in the barbershops, the locker rooms, the homes, just dudes just hanging out? Like it might be so normal that when society reacts poorly to it, it's surprising. Like, what, y'all don't do this too? Like, this is no, all my friends do this. What are y'all talking about? What do you
yeah.
mean rape? What do you mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, because they seem sincere when they say it. They
Yes.
seem so sincere.
Yeah, there's a lot of sincerity there and genuine surprise.
Yes, yes. I mean, think about I don't remember her first name, but I don't remember her name now. The lady in France whose husband was drugging her.
Yes, Giselle
Yes.
or something like
Giselle, yes. Um, Within, I don't know what it was, a 25, 30 kilometer radius or something, he found like 60 men or something that were willing to do this with him. And I mean, I guess there are plenty. Actually, I want to get off the phone. I'm getting depressed now.
that. Okay, it's okay. I understand. Believe me, I do. I do. Well, I
I'm getting
appreciate you
depressed.
calling, and I will do this more for y'all, okay?
All right, thank you. It's good to talk to you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Do you want me to kick you or do you just want me to mute you?
No, I'll stay. I'll stay.
Okay. All right. I'm going to
Okay,
mute.
thank you.
Thank you. All right. We are going to bring up Money Miles, ATM Miles, longtime watcher. First time I think I'm speaking to you. So, Money
Hi,
Miles,
PT. Can
can
you
you
hear
hear
me?
me? I can. Hi.
How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. So, initially I didn't plan on speaking, but I decided to jump in because Liz made an interesting point. When she said future killers, I
Mhm.
heard that one kind of way, and then as I was listening to her speak, I was like, oh, that's what she really means. Because with all the horrible patterns that these men have done, like all the ways that they're insecure, they're jealous, say, oh, you can't go anywhere, they're like all the ways they try to control the women. So of
Mhm.
course, yeah, that's like a killer in the making, a soon to be killer. But before I got that, my first way of hearing it was future killers and killers of their futures because of the ways that they've tried to control the women that they're with,
Mhm.
robbing them of their joy, of their zest for life, of all the things that they want to do with them with their lives and stuff like that. So that's how I heard that. So that's a really interesting thing to me
Oh,
that I got from that.
that is such a great interpretation. That is such an amazing interpretation of it. The twofold nature of it. They're killing their own future
Hmm.
and future killers, like future takers of life.
Yes.
Hold on real quick. They're saying they can't hear you. Can anyone else hear AT Miles? I don't see anyone else. But Liz, it might be because you're in the studio. That might be why. So, but anyway, I think you make such a valid point. It's like you've been with the channel a while, so you may remember me saying this many years ago. But
Mhm.
I've said before, like I just can't get over how people are so willing to throw their lives away. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Is that what you mean? Is that, am I interpreting that correctly?
Well, that's yet another way of looking at that because, like you said, they're throwing their own lives away as well. Because when you do that kind of thing to one, like even if you don't commit physical violence, you're committing mental violence to them as well.
Hmm.
They're throwing their own lives away by doing all that because even if they don't, take them out of living, um, their reputation is going to get sullied because
Hmm.
when you harm a woman or when you harm anyone in that kind of way, you like really ravage them mentally. People are going to talk about it. They're like, stay away from that guy, he's dangerous and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, they're throwing their lives away in multiple different ways by taking away the future of someone else because you've driven her into depression, you've made her isolated and all kind of stuff, you've done damage to her soul
Right.
by all this possessiveness and control for what? I mean, like, why do you feel the need to be so controlling over someone else? Like, just because she makes a whole lot more money than you or whatever, you got to feel insecure about that. You got to feel like you got to be the top dog. I have never gotten joy out of being on top of someone. I don't desire to.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's just not in my nature. So yeah, that's one thing I want to add to that.
And that's such a great point. And you've made me think of something else also. I've heard in recent years many men saying how difficult it is to form male friendships with other
Hmm.
men. And this might be why, like, even though it's not romantic in nature, obviously, it's like he's not a very good friend. Like he may,
Right.
what I mean, he loses his temper, or y'all might be playing a game or something, and he
He
takes
has to be competitive all the time. Like, why can't you just be okay with, being on equal footing with someone? There's nothing wrong with, being equal with someone. You don't need to be the top guy all the time. It doesn't mean you've lost the upper hand just because you lost a game or because somebody got some kind of success or some sort of major accomplishment and you didn't. I feel really happy for my friends when they've done something really well. I have
Mm-hmm.
friends that are doctors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As we should. We should be happy for our friends. We shouldn't be competing with our friends. Our friends should make us better, if anything.
Yeah, it's inspiring when I see some of my friends do something really big for their lives. I'm like, bravo! That's like, really cool that you did that. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
It-
let me ask you. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yes. And there's something you mentioned as well earlier. I think we were talking to, I can't remember if it was Liz or whoever. But you mentioned like, can you imagine the things that they talk about in barbershops and whatnot? I
Mm-hmm.
remember being really disturbed at one point when a former barber of mine, who's now passed away, was talking about how he doesn't like the idea of the Women's March because he feels as though men are an afterthought. I was just rolling my eyes upon hearing about that.
Wow. Um, Let me ask you, AT Miles,
Yes.
what do you think what do you think happened? Do you think do you think something happened, or do you think it has always been this way and it's just only coming out because of social media? What are your thoughts?
As in, like the one thing or many things that caused this wave of men being so, you know, violent toward women. Is that what your question
Yes.
is?
Yes.
So I don't think it's any one thing in particular. I think it's a multiplicity of factors. I don't have the answer to that question, but social media certainly um, plays a role in this. And someone else had mentioned how COVID, that lockdown era, might have done something as well.
Mm,
Because during that period where everyone's locked away in their homes, alone, isolation can really do some damage to people because lets one's own devices, if someone is not really competent socially, if you're holed up in one place for a really long time, you're
Mm,
going to be like, you're going to be losing some stuff. You're going to be atrophying socially. Um, and now some good things that came out of the lockdown era was that it led some people to have some time alone to reflect on some things, to say like, is this the life I want to be living? Do I really want to keep doing this or that for the foreseeable future? That's one thing that brought about the great resignation. Like a lot of people said, F this, I'm quitting this job or whatever, and I want to do something else with my life. But aside from that, because there's some people who lack self-reflective capacity. And I think that's one thing that really that's one nastiness that came out of the lockdown era, because it turned into some of these people who are violent. They're like, oh, I'm so tired of women doing this, all that kind of stuff. Some men were probably like that, and then when the world reopened, they got to unleash that vitriol onto the world. And I think that also played a role, that also fed into the current political climate we're in,
mhm,
because Trumpism unleashed all of that nastiness. He unleashed that and told the people who we rightfully pushed to the fringes 10 years ago, he told all of them, there is nothing wrong with you.
mhm,
And the abnormal has been normalized.
mm,
Um, Bigotry has been normalized. Misogyny has been normalized. Misogynoir has been normalized. It goes on and on and on.
mhm, mhm. Hmm. This is interesting. This is giving me some thoughts because and I think you bring out a very interesting piece, the isolation piece.
Mhm.
And I think for someone like me, who loves being alone, it's so hard for me to process someone who would struggle with that. And so I need to work on recognizing that there are people who do need human
You got to
contact.
strike a balance. So yes, I mean, I'm like you in the sense that I do benefit from some alone time, because especially at night, my mind is a very active place. I'm a composer as well in my free time, but that's not what I do for a living.
Mhm,
But yes, it's a balance, right? Because we're human beings, we're wired for connection, but also there are times when we do need to be alone to recharge, to let the juices flow.
mhm,
Because as far as my compositional process as a pianist, there's some people who wonder why they can't be a part of my process, or they wonder like what's going on up in there when they see the end result. I'm like, because these wheels are turning. I mean, I got to do that on my own. I don't really involve people in my process unless I seek them out to say, "Hey, want to do this with me?" But you know what I mean?
mhm, mhm. Let me ask you one more question, and then I'm going to bring what is happiness back up. Do
Sure.
you think if we had something like universal basic income, where every American gets like $600 a month, regardless of your income or employment status, do you think that would make a difference, particularly in the lives of men?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because when you first brought up the idea of UBI many videos ago, I was like,
Mhm,
yes, the logic of that is very sound. I think that would really help a lot of people get on their feet again. That would do wonders for the society, but of course, those in power right now lack the empathy to even consider that as a viable option. I think it's even it's not even a Republican problem. I think it's just a people in power being so used to being in power problem.
mhm,
And yeah, so there's a lack of empathy on many different sides politically. So as far as how it relates to men and violent men, I mean, I think UBI would be helpful for everyone, especially lifting some people out of poverty and so forth.
mhm,
Um, and poverty and desperation can really drive some people to do some horrible things that they wouldn't have otherwise done.
mhm,
Sometimes it's out of necessity, but of course it does not justify violence. It does not.
mhm. Interesting. And I ask that because I think sometimes, I feel like part of the social expectation for men is this whole provider hat situation.
Yes.
And I
I've never been about that. I mean,
Mhm,
women can be providers too. I mean, if
mhm,
one feels as though they can't be the provider to their loved one or whatever, they shouldn't feel emasculated. It just means you're going through a rough time right now. It just means that you don't have the money right now. It
mhm.
doesn't mean that you're less of a man because you don't have the money, just because you don't have a job, just because you couldn't step up to financially support someone. That does not make you less of a man. It just means that you don't have the money. That's all it is.
especially when, and I feel like if the men who are struggling with this understand this, it'll change their lives.
I think so
Especially,
too.
well, especially when they come to understand that a lot of times the reason they don't have money is because of this broken, failing capitalistic system. It's
Hmm.
by design. And it's
Yes.
almost like stop trying to make the broken design work and tear it down completely is
Make
the whole
something new.
and make something new because I totally get where men are coming from. It's like, hey, I put in 20 applications, I'm going door to door, nobody will hire me.
Hmm.
Sometimes men can physically just look intimidating but not
Hmm.
necessarily be scary, but people respond to that, so they're not getting the calls back, they're not getting hired. I can
Hmm.
see how that would mess with someone's mind, but
Yeah.
what I want them to
It's
do is,
frustrating because I've been
yeah,
through that before, but I never felt as though it was a mark on my manhood.
it because it's not, it's a mark of
Right.
this messed up society we live in.
Right.
It's
Uh-huh.
a mark of the jacked up hiring system that has been the same for about the past 20 or 25 years. It has not
Hmm.
changed.
Right.
Same questions, same interview process, same standards, even though life itself has changed. But they want to, these people who are holding the system in place are
Hmm.
disenfranchising everyone. But I
Hmm.
certainly think it hits men a little harder also because I might have been Manny who said this. Manny was saying how that novelty is needed, that exploration, go out and get this thing. That doesn't really jive well with sitting behind a computer all day responding to emails.
Right.
It just doesn't. So it becomes a situation where I believe a lot of men don't fit into corporate America, but the irony is they're the ones who designed it that way. That's what
Hmm.
blows my mind. Like
Yep.
it's their design. So it's like I want men to recognize the male design and destroy it, is basically what
Hmm.
I'm trying to say.
And furthermore, one question that comes up in interviews that I hate, and I
Mhm.
wish that they would, kind of go away from it, is the "Why did you leave?" question.
Yeah.
Because things happen.
Yes.
People even get fired for things that have nothing to do with them, or even if someone left because of like a toxic situation, maybe their supervisor was horrible to them or something like that, like they're out to get them sort of thing.
Mhm.
They don't even think about the person's experience and whatnot. Someone had
Mhm.
to leave for whatever reason. Why can't you focus on, why the person might be a good candidate? And then
Mhm.
the man could be someone who's, pretty good, a good worker in many different ways and brings some great qualities as a person to the company that they're trying to apply to. And
Mhm.
then when they get looked over and over again, they get frustrated, and then they might bust out and do something violent. But again, it's not justifiable. I mean, I can understand how some of the lashing out can happen. I mean, maybe they'll destroy some property, but you better not be beaten on somebody. Please don't. That's not justifiable.
Mhm. I agree. I agree. AT miles, ATM miles, money miles. I appreciate you so
Glad to
much.
be here. Thanks for having me.
Um, Thank you for coming up. Would you like to stay in the studio or do you want me to kick you?
I'll stay here.
Okay, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to bring back up what is happiness, and then we'll do one more round, and then we're going to get out of here. All right. What is
Hi
happiness? Hey.
hi again. I had 2 points I wanted to make, or 2 opinions I wanted to tell, but I'll be brief. Earlier you asked why have men created this system that is now like kind of like golden handcuffs or they're shackled to it, and
Mhm,
I because men like um not to be too general, but they have oppressed women, oppressed children, oppressed the whole environment, really, and they
mhm,
oppress men too. It's all about it's hierarchy. They oppress other men too, so they kind of shackle themselves in chains in the hopes that they'll be that one that doesn't have to play by those rules. They kind of maintain this system, hoping that they'll come out the winner. Kind of
mm,
people who vote like in the Republican Party against their own interests, hoping that those policies they'll be the one who becomes the billionaire who doesn't, you
mhm,
know, have to be in squalor with the little people.
mhm,
um,
mhm,
and then my other thought was, let's see, I'm looking at my notes. Oh, when we talk about like why men like why this extremism is happening in men. I always think about, why isn't it affecting women? I feel like a lot of times the answer people give as a possible answer for why it might be occurring to men, a lot of times that same excuse could apply to women, and yet you don't see the same results. Um, and I think when I think the only thing objectively to me that I can see that is like unique to women
Hmm.
um, is that we have. Okay, well, let me say this. When I look back based on everything I know about history, I don't know everything, but I feel that women, like the common woman, the everyday woman, is being treated better now than we've ever been treated. Not just in the Western world, but even in many oppressive or theocratic societies. You know, it's like everyone, if you look back in any society, like I think our our plight in life has only really improved. I'm not saying it's great, I'm just saying that it has been worse. But the only thing that I see is the difference between like what could be the one thing that is unique that men have experienced that women haven't, and vice versa, is that women have been given these freedoms, and men have had to have this experience where the playing field has been leveled and it makes them feel like a victim when really the playing field is just being leveled. Um, so I think the one thing that I can say, like, if you wanted to do a controlled experiment, like, what is the thing that doesn't apply to both uh, sexes? I mean, because I can't, I mean, I would like to hear other people's opinions. Like, if you can think of other things that only apply to men, that could be an explanation for this, or largely only apply to men, because so many of the reasons are like, oh, there's this, there's that. I'm always thinking, well, that women deal with that too, and we're at a disadvantage. So yeah, those are just my thoughts. But thank you again for having me up.
No, of course. Thank you for coming up. Um, you really give me a lot to think about just now because you know what I was just thinking because you're asking like, what about the differences, right?
Hmm.
And because I reflect on this often because I went to school with a very mixed group, boys and girls of all races, basically, and our lives have are basically on 180-degree opposites of the spectrum. It's almost like the boys in my class just never launched, but the girls did. Even the girls who got caught up and maybe got derailed a little bit, they got back on track and they're doing well now, right? So I'm like, how is this possible when we sat in the same classrooms, same city, same county? We graduated at the same time. The colleges came to the same school and they did the same college fair for all of us. Nobody was excluded, nobody was left out. We took the same tests, SATs, ACTs, and all the other ones you have to pass to graduate. Same teachers. How was everything the same and we all ended up so different? And here's what you just made me think of. I wonder if there is an influence of older males on young men, and it's the older males who did not succeed in life and they don't want to see the younger men surpass them. So instead of giving good advice, wisdom, and life advice that would help the young boys, 12, 13, 14, 15, help them make better decisions so they don't end up like the older guys, it's almost like the older guys don't want to, because they fucked up their life, they don't want to see anyone else come
Hmm.
and surpass them and do better than them, especially not a young man, because they're peers in a way, even though the ages might be different, they're peers. And
Right.
it's kind of almost like it makes me think of the trope, and I think this might be in a movie, of how you have the one kid from the hood who's talented in basketball and getting ready to possibly be recruited by a college and then maybe NBA, and then his best friend since childhood who just can't get it together. And then as a result of him hanging out with the one who can't get it together, his whole life gets thrown away. There goes the NBA, there goes college. Now we got to do a bid for 12 years running around behind his best friend. Same type of situation. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. But then, of course, my mind went to, because I know, okay, I hate to do the whole, but also, or whatever people do, but women, I know women, we kind of do this to each other as well, as far as like with motherhood and with marriage, not telling the nitty, like the dirty details.
Hmm.
Um, can all commiserate. But I feel like women, like once they finally get that divorce or they kind of tough it out, then they still kind of bounce back on their own a lot of times. They don't like, some women do, but a lot of women, they'll end up getting divorced and they'll like start a business. They'll make it do what it do for their kids and themselves. They don't just like let it. They can get derailed for 20 years by having children and then get back on track in one way or another. So I mean, we're making generalizations. I guess it'd be interesting to see, like, I mean, I don't know if there's any studies on it, but it'd be interesting to see, like, some quantitative data on this kind of thing. Because,
Mhm.
we're all generalizations. But that is a really interesting point, and I think it is true. I think that does happen. I'm just curious to, like, what extent and if it is having that significant of a impact. Because um, I think, like, talking about how women, don't always tell the truth about like marriage and children and all of that. I mean,
Mhm.
there's in my mind like derailment from your goals and plans than motherhood if you're going to do it right.
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. But yeah, I'm interested to hear like in a future show what as you flesh those thoughts out. I'm interested to hear what you come up with.
Absolutely. What I always do after every show is I always watch the playback.
Mm.
And I always end up getting different insights, new insights, and things I wish I had said during the show. So I'll definitely be chewing on this for a while, um, just to see if we can come up with any solutions because there's got to be a reason. And that might be the spawn of a deeper PTE. Um,
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming back up. I appreciate you.
I'm gonna drop off now, but I'll be listening again tomorrow also.
All right, sounds great. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Manny or Liz, either one of you want to come back? And if not, we're going to go ahead and wrap the show. Still listening? Or did you want to come? Oh, they're not at it. Hold on. Manny, did you have any closing thoughts?
Um, I would say that a lot of ground was covered in this podcast, so I can't wait to hear the evolution of this.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you guys so much. I normally don't do call-in shows. This is the first time I've done it in years, and you guys really made it a success. So I appreciate you all for coming up. All right. Liz, any closing thoughts, final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I guess I could say is like just encouraging women to like, I'm not saying be afraid or anxious, but like have your wits about you, okay? Don't
Hmm.
give a guy that you just met a second chance. Like the first time you sense something weird, like leave early before you get attached, before he gets attached
Hmm.
or hit in his mind's version of attached to you, because we know that they express feelings sometimes like they're so into you and it's like you don't know me, you don't know anything about me.
Hmm.
So just leave early. Don't put yourself in positions. Of course, I know we should be able to jog at night with headphones on and not, I love to be at night. I would love to go to the beach and sit by myself at night and stuff. But we can't really do stuff like that. So don't put yourself in these types of positions. If you can carry, whatever it is. Also, there's a book called The Gift of Fear
Hmm.
that I recommend every woman read. It is kind of scary to read it, but it helps you avoid, being the victim of a violent crime. So it's really important, to just be on guard. Like I, I have, this is not a judgment of any kind, but I've had friends or family who have been in domestic violence situations, and I have not. And it's, maybe it's luck, but also too, it's just a certain like if guys behave a certain way, I'm not around you. Like I'm gone. Like the all up in my face to chase me. The no, who's on your phone? Like, are you gonna wear that outside? Like that stuff is not cute. Okay, it's not cute. Like just leave early and be cautious and the gift of fear. Yeah, I'll say that.
Absolutely. And that's actually a good idea. I think I'm going to mute you, okay? There's a little
Yeah.
feedback. Thank you, Liz. that you just gave me an idea for maybe a book review series, because I actually have that book, The Gift of Fear. So we might do a book review series. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and drop everyone down. So thank you for coming. Thank you, Manny. What is happiness? Liz, Money Miles. I feel like I'm leaving someone out. Who am I leaving out? I forgot the final one. I'm so sorry. But thank you all for coming up. So I'm going to go ahead and drop you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. This is awesome. I'm so happy. I'm so happy you guys called in. That makes me feel so good. And you brought up such amazing points. Let me tell you a quick story to that effect of what you were saying, Liz, of being willing to walk away. So I'm not dating anyone right now. I actually haven't dated anyone for a while. The last time I was very close was 2023, actually, and that actually lasted all of 2023 to late 2024. I just never mentioned it. I never mentioned it. But I was wildly in love with that man, wildly in love. And believe it or not, it's such a long, crazy story. I'm probably saying too much, but we were never intimate. So again, it's a long story. There's a lot of moving parts, but I thought that was even crazier. It's like I'm wildly in love with this man. We've never even slept with each other before. And he loved me too. He just couldn't admit that. But anyway, the point is, he did something that to me was so egregious that I had to break it off. And I don't think I've ever been more brokenhearted in my entire life. But the way I looked at it was like this, and you never know. I might do a members only stream another day and just tell y'all what happened. It's nothing serious. He didn't beat me. He didn't rape me, nothing like that. He didn't cheat on me with my best friend. It was nothing like that. Okay. So I can just put your minds at ease. But what he did to me was so egregious that it was concerning to me, because my thought process was, you could do me like that, and we've known each other for almost 2 years? Really? Wow. I didn't know you were capable of that. And I had to walk away from him, y'all. And it hurt so bad. And I had to go against my very nature, which is to break down and fold and reach out and text or reach out and call. Norm, I'm a folder, okay? I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I don't be folding. When I'm in love, I fold. So for me to fight myself, to not reach out, don't text, don't call, like, don't fall into your old patterns, which are you date somebody, you fall in love with them, they do something that's very offensive or egregious or whatever, you break up with them and then you fold. And you basically drag out a bad situation with a bad person because your heart is so soft. I'm soft, honey. I am made up of nothing more than cotton candy, sunshine, bubble gum, puppies, and kittens. That's really all I'm composed of. I know I may not come across like that. I seem very serious and rigid and stoic and whoa. Honey, I'm made up of rainbow sunshine sprinkles and cupcakes. Okay? That's what I'm made up of. So when I'm in love, honey. And I fold and I end up staying in situations much longer than I should after the first sign of total disrespect. Because that's what it was. It was just, it was shocking disrespect. And to me, it actually scared me. And here's why. Because, and this is going to be hard to understand without all the context, but just know that this was a person who I wouldn't have expected this type of behavior out of, mainly because we know so many mutual people. So the fact that he did that, knowing that I could call or text any of our mutual friends and be like, what the fuck? And really blow his spot up and like really, really embarrass him. He knows that. He knew that and he did it anyway. And I thought that was weird. That struck me as weird. To me, that's that gift of fear thing. You see what I'm saying? Like that's that, whoa, hold on a second. Who are you really? Um, And one day I'll tell y'all the full story so it will actually make sense. I'm purposely leaving out a lot of details because if I start giving details, then it kind of, if that person ever came across this, they'd know it was them. But it actually shocked me. It was something I would never do to someone that I was kind of dating, and it's something I would never do to a friend, honestly. And it hurt my feelings so much, and it also unnerved me that at first it moved from brokenheartedness to being sincerely disturbed, especially as someone who does this series, because I'm like, how many of these women that we feature in this series had something similar happen to them with the man who ultimately killed them, and they went back, they folded like I'm known to do. I'm known to fold, especially if he's fine, honey. If that thing is tall and fine, I'm ruined. That's it. I'm done. I already told y'all I'm not made of much. Okay? So if it's fine and it's tall, I have a tendency to fold. And I wonder how many of these women in these stories were in similar situations, had something similar happen, and went back like I'm prone to do. So I'm not better than these women. I'm not above these women. I'm not like, oh, that would never happen to me. It absolutely could and could have happened to me. I believe I've been in the presence of some very dangerous men and I just didn't know it. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but y'all know where you are. You know whose channel you're on. I think there's something on me that makes them change their mind. And maybe that's for a deeper PTE. But I truly, strongly believe that I have been in the presence of some very dangerous men who could have hurt me if they wanted to. But I think there is something on me or something about me that makes them change their mind. And I don't know what it is, but I've seen it happen too many times. Excuse me. And I actually had a friend. She and I don't talk much anymore these days, but I just remember something she said many years ago. And she used my name, but since y'all don't know my name, I'll just say PTE. I don't know why my relationships aren't working. I don't know why. I forgot how I said it, but her response has stuck with me all these years. She said, PTE, girl, they be Xing themselves out. In other words, they see themselves out the door. And it's not an insult. It might sound like an insult, but it's actually not. And if I could remember what I said to her, it would make her response make more sense. Hold on. I don't remember what I said to her, but her response stuck with me because what she was basically saying was, these guys know they know that they don't stand a chance or something. Even though they have the chance. They have my number, we're dating, we're going out, we're hanging out, whatever. So they're in there. They've already done the hard part, but it's almost like they get in and go, you know what? I'm a fraud and I'm going to go ahead and see myself out the door because yeah, I'm going to go. Does that make sense? Oh, chat says I know what you're saying. Y'all get what I'm saying, right? She said, girl, I believe they be Xing themselves out. And it was actually really funny. It was so funny. Oh my God. And I don't remember much. I have very poor recall, but I remember that. And ever since I'm like, I think she's right. I give them a chance. We start kind of talking, start kind of dating a little bit. Sex may or may not be involved, usually not, because they turn me off before we can even get to the bedroom. God damn. Can you just shut up for 6 seconds? Just shut up. And then you can turn me off and I can get rid of you. Y'all like to turn me off before I even get you home. Shut up. But anyway, my point is they've done the hard part, the approach, the can I get your number, all that. And then they're just like, yeah, I'm not cut out for this. Either that or it's almost like I'm marked in a way. And it's like, normally I would violate a woman or normally I would violate her, but there's something about her that's saying, don't you do that shit. And I don't know what it is, y'all, but we'll talk about it on my other channel. Okay. I got y'all laughing. Hey, can you shut up for 30 minutes? Just shut up. Just be in the passenger seat, buckle your seatbelt, shut the fuck up. All right. 30 minutes is all I'm asking. Now, at the end of that 30 minutes, go ahead and turn me off, honey, because I'm going to tell you I have an early meeting and you need to leave. Do you want me to call you an Uber? All right. Let me do some closing thoughts. I've had a great time with y'all tonight. I know this is a serious subject. I know that this is a serious topic, but I'm so grateful to every single one of you and all of you who called in tonight. Thank you. Truly. Thank you. We'll have to do this again. I was hoping I would get an angry bird, but no angry bird showed up tonight. Gordon didn't show back up. I don't know where Gordon went. Gordon wanted to get on the last live or the live before. I tried to do a live stream for Gordon. Gordon didn't show up. So I was hoping I would get someone to call argue with me because I love to argue. I do. Because you know why I like to argue? Because to me, arguing is educational. So in the argument, hopefully I'm teaching, and you never know, I might be learning as well. But no takers. Maybe I have to do some clickbait. I'll do a clickbait live stream and see if I can lure them in here. But I appreciate you guys. Listen, be careful. Ladies, I know we're going to date. I know we're still going to have men in our lives. Be careful. Trust your instincts. If something feels weird, I want you to remember the story I told you about this man that I was absolutely crazy about, but he did something really, really weird. And it first it hurt my feelings, then it scared me. So I want you, and I cried that thing out, honey. I cried almost all of 2024. I was in tears because I missed him, but I just thought about it and I was just like, this is not the way to start a relationship. Like, you don't start off by doing extreme weird stuff and expect good results later. I don't know. It wasn't nothing, but it wasn't like criminal is what I'm trying to say. But I had to go with my discernment and say, let me not sign up for misery, right? It's one thing if you don't see misery coming, but let me not sign up for misery when I see it and it's right in my face, So I had to let that tall, fine, gorgeous man go. God almighty. Ugh. Anyway, stop excusing bad behavior. Stop making excuses for it. The more extreme they become, the more extreme you should become. I think you all should become control freaks, to be honest with you. I think you should start telling them, yeah, I don't like your shoes. I don't like that brand. Get a different brand. I don't like your haircut. Cut it. I don't like your hair. Cut it. Ugh, hate it. Cut it. Ooh, grow a beard. Like, be mean as, ooh, I almost cursed real bad. I want y'all to be mean. Be mean, because here's the thing. Some people might say, well, PTE, you're telling them to be mean and they're killing women. Yeah, they're killing women who are being nice to them. So what's your point? What is your actual point? I'm sorry, I need to tell y'all this. I was watching a video on YouTube last night. It was the police pulled over a guy and he swallowed a bunch of cocaine because he didn't want to be caught with it, right? And long story short, he ended up passing away, right? But in the process of him passing away, when he was handcuffed and he was on the sidewalk, right? And he's basically actively dying. But because he kept playing, the police didn't know. So he would be like, I need an ambulance. I need an ambulance. And they'd be like, do you need an ambulance? He would go, nah, I'm just playing. And they'd be like, all right, buddy, well, you just sit there and relax. And then he'd be like, no, for real. Actually, I need an ambulance for real. And they're like, we'll call an ambulance if you want us to. He goes, no, I'm just playing. How are you actively dying and you playing? But anyway, that's not the point that I'm trying to make. While he was actively dying, some woman saw what was going on and she walked up and he was like, come here, come feel my heart, call the ambulance, talking to this woman, right? So she started walking towards him and the police were like, stay back. And she's like, he's saying he needs help. And they were like, stay back. He's fine. This man starts cussing her out. The man who's actively dying, the man who swallowed cocaine so he wouldn't get caught with it in the traffic stop. He goes, bitch, slut, come feel my heart, bitch. Bitch. And I'm like, wow, even when you're actively dying, you still have time for misogyny. I just don't understand. I just don't understand that as the life is leaving your body, you still have time for misogyny. This poor woman, she just walked up and saw what was happening. She saw the police weren't intervening. So she starts trying to approach to try to help the guy. The police tell her to stay back. She's following the police's orders, and he starts cussing her out. Like, what? Anyway. I say that to say, stop excusing bad behavior. The more extreme they become, the more strict and extreme you become. Singleness may be the greatest gift that many of us were ever given, even though it felt like a curse for a long time, maybe. Not to me. Listen, it doesn't bother me one bit. But I know to some of you, being single feels like a curse, and it might be the biggest blessing in disguise that you've ever been given, and you don't know it. Because I think that something is wrong right now. I'm going to go deeper on it on my other channel. I just decided. I just don't know when. Probably this weekend, maybe. Something else is going on. And I feel like if you're single right now, you're being kept safe, if that makes sense. But you still need to watch your back out in public. Just be careful. And if nothing else, because obviously most of us are not stronger physically than men, but one thing you can do is run. So if nothing else, I don't care. You don't have to lift weights. You don't have to do any of that, but you get your running game up. I want you to be able to take off running. Okay. At any time, I want you to be able to take off running. When I hurt my foot, I rehabbed that thing until I got it back to normal, because I was like, the last thing I need is to not be able to walk well and not be able to run. So I'm happy to report my foot is feeling better, but I'm being so serious. If you can't fight, then get your running game up, okay? And I'm gonna tell you like my mama told me, which is, if it comes down to it, fight to the death. Go to the death. Stop at nothing, okay? And with that, it has been an amazing show. I really hope we don't have to do another one of these for a while. There used to be several months in between these shows. Now it's starting to feel like it's a couple of weeks. So my most sincere hope is that we don't have to do this again for a while or ever, but I know that's not realistic, but hopefully not for a while. And I'm going to keep an eye on this, obviously, but we're going to talk about other things here. Do look out for a live stream coming soon on my other channel, A Deeper PTE. Should be able to find a link to it somewhere around here, or just type the channel name in, okay? But I appreciate you guys so much on this Tuesday evening. We will be back together again very soon. Thank you to the Playback Squad. I appreciate all your comments. And please remember to like, share, and hype the video. And be safe out there, you guys, okay? I care about every single one of you, and I'm tired of seeing this happen to you. I'm sick of it. So I'm going to keep going until it stops. And that's really all I have left to say. So y'all have a good night, and I will talk to you again soon, okay? Bye.